outside where it is 63 degrees. That's a live look from our High Five camera downtown Memphis. I think the shading's a little bit off. It's not that dark. You know, of course, it looks a little dark. It's a little bit cloudy out there, but it's 7 o'clock, 63 degrees. Look at this, though. You can definitely see the sun is out and coming through the clouds here. Meteorologist Spencer Denton talking about temperatures in the mid-80s today. And here's the thing for later this week. There's not going to be much rain. In fact, rain chances are going to be very low, especially after today and tonight. We'll be talking much more about the forecast coming up later this morning on the Action News 5 digital desk. But first, a quick break.
Why won't you go?
No one deserves to live like this. When it's time for a plumber, you deserve the best. Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
All right, now we are back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, months away from the Memphis municipal election taking place. So this is for Memphis mayor, this is for Memphis City Council members, other elected offices within the city, and starting today, people interested for those elected offices can become official candidates. So voters are going to be able to choose whether they want to run for these offices. It was certainly one of our top stories this morning. A Shelby County judge earlier this month ruled in favor of Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner. Memphis NAACP President Van Turner filing lawsuits regarding the 5-year residency rule. They are now allowed to run, and certainly there's going to be a number of different candidates running for all kinds of offices. Now, candidates do have until noon, July 20th, to get enough signatures to return their petitions back to the Election Commission and file. Mark it down, though. The Memphis Election Commission will take place October 5th. And of course, we caught up with Memphis mayoral candidates Van Turner, Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner. Both have recently bought homes in the Memphis metropolitan area. Turner lived in unincorporated Shelby County, and Sheriff Floyd Bonner lived in Bartlett.
I think that I've proven that I'm vested in this city. I love this city. I'm a native of Whitehaven, and so I'm ready to run hard for this.
We'll start showing up and talking about the issues. I think that's the important thing that citizens want to hear from all the candidates.
Court expansion should only be the beginning. We need to pass the Supreme Court Term Limits and Regular Appointments Act to end undemocratic lifetime tenure.
Rates of new HIV infection all across the country, and it's this Shelby County community. Many of us are especially vulnerable. Awareness is so key when it comes to HIV awareness. And certainly it is an issue that has plagued Shelby County for so long. Let's bring in infectious disease doctor, a familiar face to many of us, Dr. Shirin Mazumdar, joining us on the digital desk. She was someone that we saw so often during the pandemic, and I'm sure she misses those interviews over and over and the same questions over and over again. Dr. Mazumdar, so great to see you. How have you been? Tell me what's going on and tell our viewers.
Oh, I'm doing great, Andrew. It's great to be back with you guys.
Good to have you with us. Okay, so we're talking HIV awareness and certainly HIV rates right now. Can you give us just briefly an update on Shelby County when it comes to HIV?
Yeah, so HIV is still an ongoing public health issue. We've got about 48 million people worldwide living with HIV, over 1 million people in the United States living with HIV. And here in Shelby County, we have over 7,000 people living with HIV. And according to the CDC, Memphis ranks third in new HIV cases among individuals between the ages of 19 and 24. And we rank 8th in the nation overall for new HIV cases.
That is so disturbing. I would guess that this is kind of the same level where we've been at. There really hasn't been a decline or an increase, has there?
No, we're still seeing significant rates of HIV, and so we're really trying to promote HIV awareness through HIV testing, treatment, and also preventative options that we now have available to prevent HIV infection.
Let's talk about that because I understand the preventable and the treatment options have evolved over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, so we do have something called PrEP, or HIV pre-exposure prophylaxis. And this refers to medication that people can take to reduce the risk of HIV infection. It's highly effective. It's about 99% effective in preventing HIV acquisition through sex. And it's really something that I think is underutilized. The CDC estimated in 2020 that only 25% of people that may have benefited from PrEP were actually taking it. And so it's something that we really want to let people know about because it's something that's very easy to do. PrEP consists of either an oral medication that can be taken once a day, and there's even an injectable long-acting medication that can be given every 2 months, and it's highly effective.
How can people get more information about this? Do they just call the health department? Do they go in person? Can they go online?
There's several different options to access PrEP. People can always talk to their physician and their healthcare team. The health department is also a great resource. And if individuals are uninsured, that should not discourage them from seeking out PrEP if they're a candidate. There are state and federal assistance programs. There's something called Ready, Set, PrEP, which can be accessed online, that is there to help ensure that uninsured individuals can also access PrEP.
What about the future of HIV vaccines? Tell me more about that.
So unfortunately, there is not currently an HIV vaccine available. And actually, this last Wednesday, we celebrated HIV Vaccine Awareness Day. And this is really a day to thank volunteers and researchers who are working together to find and develop a safe and effective HIV vaccine. It's been an area of interest for many years, but unfortunately, we do not currently have a available HIV vaccine, but I'm really hopeful that someday we will. And in the meantime, we have tools such as PrEP available to prevent HIV infection.
If someone just wants to bring awareness to the issue of HIV, new treatments, manageable treatments, what do you recommend they do?
Yeah, I think that if somebody wants to learn more, I think that we have some really great places here in Shelby County for people to seek more information. Physicians and healthcare teams are also always a great place to start. Also, we have different clinics and different departments, such as the health department, that are great places to seek information as well.
Dr. Shirin Mazumdar, it's so great to see you. I appreciate you coming on the Digital Desk. Feel free to come on the Digital Desk anytime there's an issue you'd like to talk about. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We are speaking today at the start of the summer storm season for much of the country here because June 1st begins hurricane season, and we know that that can be very turbulent, for lack of a better term. Let's talk about some of the issues, though, around the safety when it comes to storms, when it comes to everything else around the house. We have Patty Davis with the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. I appreciate you being here, Ms. Davis. So tell me, here we are where it's May and we're talking about the summer storm season. Why is that?
Well, as you said, June 1st is the start of Atlantic hurricane season and the summer storm season. We know that our power is going to get knocked out from some storms. I mean, that's fact of life. So we want you to be prepared. If you're going to use a portable generator, use it as safely as possible, because our latest data shows that about 100 people die every year from carbon monoxide poisoning associated with generators. 1 in 4 of those are African Americans. So we want to make sure that you are staying safe, not only during the storm, but after.
So tell us about some of this new data around storm safety. What is it saying about this country as we head into summer?
Well, what that 100 death number shows, and it's been on the increase, is that the risk is real of dying from carbon monoxide poisoning, and that's with generators. And the fact that there are a higher percentage of African Americans who die as compared to their population. So I think what this shows is people need to pay attention, because this is happening, it's real, and it can happen to you.
Yeah, we know that generators need space. They need to be outside. They shouldn't be inside. What else can we do to improve storm safety?
Well, make sure that you've got carbon monoxide alarms in your home and smoke alarms as well. You know, smoke alarms, a lot of people already have those, but carbon monoxide alarms may be an afterthought, but they're critically important when you have a storm that's knocking out the power, and you may be using a portable generator or any other reason. If you have a fireplace, if you have a car that you park in your garage, all of those can cause carbon monoxide to seep into your home. So important to keep that generator outside, at least 20 feet from the home. Point the exhaust away from your home, away from your neighbor's home, and make sure that you have a working carbon monoxide alarm in your home.
Okay, carbon monoxide detector, keep the generator outside. Anything else?
You know, if the power goes out, use those battery-operated candles and flashlights instead of real candles, if you're able. You know, now is the time to be preparing, because we have a couple of weeks now before that storm season kicks off, and we know there are going to be storms. It happens every year. They seem to be increasing in frequency. Get prepared now. Read the instructions on your portable generator. Take it out back and try it out. Know how to use it before the first storm hits.
U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, we appreciate your time. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cutting out cable doesn't mean you have to cut out local news. Action News 5 makes it easy to keep up with what's happening in the 901 through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can watch breaking news and weather from anywhere we go live, like and comment on the stories that matter to you, and share your ideas directly with us. So tap in using your phone, tablet, or computer, making it easy to stay in the know in the 901. We're taking action for you. WMC Action News 5. Find us wherever you scroll.
Hi, I'm Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am officially vaccinated. I cannot wait to get back to spending time with my family and friends. I think people should do their research and make sure they get informed on the vaccine, and I definitely did that. I definitely looked up side effects, everything that I could find out, and I felt like it was still in my best interest to get the vaccine as well for anybody, really. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. The National Drowning Prevention Alliance. It is such an important organization. I remember when my kids were really little, we had our pediatrician tell us the #1 killer of small children is drowning. It's water. And it is so prevalent across the country. In fact, childhood drowning incidents are on the rise, reaching historic highs in some areas. And that's why we are talking about water safety, water activity. We got right now on the Action News 5 digital desk, Adam Kaczmarek. He is joining us. He's the executive director of the National Drowning Prevention Alliance to talk about this very issue. Adam, good morning to you. How prevalent is childhood drowning? I know when my kids are older teenagers, but when they were little, our pediatricians stressed the fact that water, and specifically pools and lakes and that sort of thing, #1 killer of small children. Is that in fact the case? Has it gotten any worse or better?
Unfortunately, Andrew, the problem has gotten a little bit worse. You know, over the last 20 years, we were seeing a slight decline in our childhood drowning numbers year over year. And since the pandemic, we have that number has risen back up to where we were at in the late 1990s. And unfortunately, now we can report drowning is the single leading cause of death for children ages 1 to 4 and remains the second leading cause of injury death for children up to age 14. And for every 1 child that drowns fatally, the CDC reports another 8 are seen in an emergency department for a non-fatal drowning. But it's important to note that 40% of those require additional care. So the numbers are quite staggering.
They are. I mean, they really are. And the thing is, I know a couple of parents that have had that happen to them, and I just can't imagine. I can't imagine finding your child that is drowned in a swimming pool. Both instances that I know, that's what happened. It was a swimming pool. Let's talk about water safety advice, because all those all those parents of small children out there, they're probably looking for maybe a checklist or maybe just some bullet points if they go to someone's house or if they go on vacation or if they go somewhere and there's a pool, a body of water in the backyard. Let's talk about maybe some bullet points that parents can do to ensure safety for everybody, including the small children.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can go to ndpa.org. We have a ton of resources available. We recommend following what we call the 5 layers of protection. That includes barriers and alarms, restricting access and notifying when a child goes into an unauthorized area. Super important for backyard pools. It's important to note that 70% of our toddler drownings are happening during non-swim time. So when the child is least expected to be around the water, water's an attractive nuisance. So we want to make sure we're restricting that access during swim times and during non-swim times, providing active adult supervision and making sure that supervisor is capable of recognizing a drowning and making sure they can safely respond to it. Third is water competency. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends children can start swimming lessons as early as age 1 after consulting with the pediatrician. So get your children enrolled in high quality swim lessons as early as possible to learn basic skills. Fourth is the appropriate use of life jackets, making sure around especially natural bodies of water and when boating, children are always in a properly sized life jacket. And then fifth is making sure you're always ready for the unexpected with emergency preparations. Drowning happens often when we least expect it to. It's a tragic scenario, but making sure, we know how to make that 911 call, how to safely rescue a victim and provide that really high quality immediate CPR care with rescue breaths can mean the difference between life and death.
Adam, I got a question for you because, I constantly get this from other parents. When my kids were little, I put them in swim lessons when they were about a year or 2 old, and it really didn't do anything, in my view, in terms of like teaching them how to swim. If anything, it got them comfortable with water. And while there's some people that might say, hey, that's a good thing, you got them comfortable with water, I actually look at it as a negative thing because they're comfortable with water and they don't know how to swim. So then if they're alone and they see the water, oh, that's fun, and then they go in, they don't know how to swim, and there's a real danger with them drowning. Is that an issue that you see?
Well, that's why we recommend high quality swim lessons. We want to make sure that a child, even as early as age 1, is learning basic skills in the water. We want them to learn things like floating on the back. So if they fall in, they're able to right themselves, get air, and call for help. So there are water exploration or water play lessons that are available out there. And for some families, that may be the right fit. We've developed a swim lesson checklist that helps parents identify the right swim lessons for their family. Thinking about the risk and their child's access to water is also important in that. And the other, reminder is not just the child becoming overconfident, but the parent becoming overconfident after swim lessons. There's nothing that will drown-proof your child, including swim lessons. So just practicing one layer of protection does not reduce the risk. So even though swim lessons are a layer of protection, we still need that supervision, those barriers in place, life jackets when appropriate, to really substantially reduce that risk.
Any other misconceptions or misperceptions, common myths out there about drowning and water safety that you can debunk for some of the parents that are watching? We have thousands of people that watch us here on the Digital Desk.
Yeah, I mean, one of the major things is drowning is silent. It is fast. You know, many parents think it's going to be like it's portrayed in Hollywood in the films and on TV. Drowning is not a loud and pronounced event, especially with young toddlers. It is quiet, it is silent, and it can happen as little as 30 seconds. So, and like I said, it happens when we least expect it. 70% of our toddlers are drowning during non-swim time. So absolutely, we want to make sure swim time safety is important, but, you know, we also want to think about keeping our children safe after we're done swimming for the day. So, you know, really those two big myths out there, we're really working hard to dispel this summer.
Adam, is there anything that you are extremely knowledgeable about this topic, of course. Is there anything else you want to mention, maybe other steps parents can take at home? You know, we're about to go into the summer travel season. Anything else while parents are on vacation or where there's just open water that can help them?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we've developed a vacation water safety checklist that parents can go on to ndpa.org and access. And it walks them through just the things they should think about as they're planning for their vacation, they're booking their vacation. And, you know, really when they get on their vacation, whether it's a hotel or a vacation rental property, being able to do a quick walkthrough, recognizing the safety features that are in place, and just having a water safety discussion with your family. You know, so oftentimes with parents that have lost children that I work with, I hear the word I didn't know. I didn't know drowning was the leading cause of death for 1 to 4-year-olds. I didn't know the basic safety steps to take. And we have all that information available. We really just want people to be aware so they can make smart safety choices for their family this summer. Drowning is 100% preventable. It is an accident, but we really want to make sure we're keeping those safety steps in mind, because the reality is this happens far too often when parents are least expecting it.
ndpa.org. Adam Kaczmarczyk, Executive Director, I really appreciate this conversation, and I know our viewers find it so helpful and useful. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me, Andrew. Really appreciate it.
Here's a life hack. While you're physically at work, you can be mentally somewhere else entirely. So grab a refreshing summer edition Red Bull slush and imagine you're at the pool, or literally anywhere else but at work. Sonic Red Bull Summer Edition slush. Sonic.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose the Summer Splash Pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
Imagine a place where a cool summer breeze blows and burgers have that smoky char-grilled flavor. And also the breeze is your car's air conditioner because you're eating at Sonic. New Sonic Griller.
For decades, fluoride has been added to most of our tap water to help protect against cavities. But now studies are addressing how much is too much when it comes to fluoride and whether it can cause problems, especially in infants and expected mothers. Let's talk about this issue and more with a biological dentist, Dr. Griffith Cole. He joins us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Good morning, Dr. Cole. Let's first talk about what a biological dentist is. I've never heard of that.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so we're more like whole body dentists. We work like a functional medicine doctor in that we look at more than just fixing what's going on in the mouth. We want to know the underlying causes of the symptoms. Why are they getting cavities? Why do they have infection? So we dig a little deeper and we treat the whole person, really. We're also very concerned with materials, and so we don't work with anything that we know is toxic to the body, like mercury, nickel, and even fluoride.
That's excellent. All right, so that's perfect to set the table here for this discussion. I'm really looking forward to this discussion because I've had so many debates with various family members and some friends who hate fluoride, who hate the idea of fluoride in tap water. I mean, it was put in tap water back in the 40s to address the issue of cavities. There's been a lot of studies out there that have talked about the toxicity to people's bodies with fluoride. And now there's what I'm reading is that there may be a link when it comes to IQs and infants and children. Bring us up to speed.
I will. So you're absolutely right. too much fluoride can negatively affect most of our organs in our body. And now we know brain function and activity. And how we know that is the National Toxicology Program, which works under Health and Human Services. Their job is to look at substances that are harmful to the environment and let us know. And they looked at these reports and found absolute brain impairments, including lower IQ, as you mentioned, in babies born to pregnant moms who ingested fluoridated water during pregnancy.
Now, I've always heard, Dr. Cole, that the amount of fluoride that's in tap water is so small and so minute that it wouldn't really affect people's bodies. Is that, I guess that's one argument, but, my thought is, well, if it's any kind of poison, why put it in at all? I mean, do the negatives outweigh the positives? Where currently is this issue? Because I've seen some communities across the country removing it from their tap water because there's been such a backlash.
Yeah, so your statements are absolutely accurate in that there are many people who are now realizing that not only is it not effective, it's not doing its intended function, but it's actually very harmful. And keep in mind, too, that fluoride, when you get fluoride in your body, when you drink it, your body can only metabolize and get rid of about half of that. So the other half stays in your body indefinitely. So this is an accumulative effect, right? And that's the problem with it. Drinking it is not what we need to do. So, and now we know that we are getting too much. And in fact, Health and Human Services has lowered the level that's allowed to be added to water supplies because they're noticing children are getting these spots on their teeth, this tooth fluorosis, these white spots. Every 2 out of 5 kids has that now in this country. And we get it in these other things too, right? Like bottled drinks, we get it in some dietary supplements, mouth rinses, toothpaste, and even a lot of prescription medications. So there's just so much of it. Even if you try to avoid it and you're hopefully in some community where you don't have your water fluoridated, you're still being exposed to it. So you got to be careful of that.
So let's talk about some alternatives out there. I know that there are a lot of alternatives that I see at health food stores, for example. They have big labels on the toothpaste that says no fluoride toothpaste or fluoride free, that sort of thing. Is that what we should be looking for? Give me some alternatives.
Yeah, I feel that way, and I'll just speak for myself. I mean, I don't think that we need fluoride in any form, but there'll be plenty of dentists out there that will tell you it works topically, and they're right. You can apply it to your teeth topically and get some kind of anti-decay effect. It's unnecessary, but it does have that effect. So I always tell people the same thing, and it's just simple principles that we learned a long time ago. A good, sound diet, right? One that is low in sugar, but high in vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables, good fats, ample protein, right? Combine that with good home care. And I mean simple things, right? If we brush and floss daily and spend a couple minutes brushing your teeth, clean your tongue, that combined with a good diet, and you've got a home run there. You don't need to add any kind of special dentifrice to your teeth to make them stronger. You already have the foundation.
Would you recommend that all communities across the country remove fluoride from their tap water?
I absolutely would, and have for 28 years now. It's unnecessary. It's never been proven to actually work, as I mentioned. And now we know that all these brain impairments, I mean, lower IQs, get this, they found when the National Toxicology Program looked at all these studies and they handpicked what they thought were well done, controlled, randomized studies, they found that there was a steep drop in IQ, up to 7 points in babies that were born to these moms who drank fluoridated water during pregnancy.
That is crazy to me. It's amazing to me that it's still allowed in some of the community tap water across the country. What about when it comes to toothpaste? Naturally, you think of toothpaste, you think of putting it on your teeth, rinsing it, cleaning it, and then spitting it out. Would there be any harmful effects from that?
So, every toothpaste that has fluoride now has that little warning label. And they've had it for years where it says, don't swallow more than a pea-sized amount. And the reason why is it's toxic. And if a child especially swallowed a fair amount of toothpaste, it could do some harm. So I always say you don't need to have any kind of fluoride toothpaste. You can do, there's so many toothpastes out there that don't have them, as you mentioned, but you can even brush your teeth with just baking soda. Baking soda and water is a really nice soft dentifrice that'll get the plaque off your teeth, and that's really all you need. So you can save some money there.
Tell me why this hasn't gotten as much coverage. I feel like you know it, I know it, but I don't feel like this is one of those huge pressing issues that many of Americans know about.
You know, I think it's because it's been something that's been hammered into us our whole lives, right? Since 1945 anyway. And dentists especially. Like, I love to get into debates with these pro-fluoridationists, and I know I can win because I have all the science. But I think that when you're told that something is good for you and you're told that again and again, you just take things at face value without really looking at the science behind it. But if everybody just takes a moment and really digest what this report is about. I mean, now we're talking about babies being born with brain impairments. I think that should wake some people up. And don't let any pro-fluoridationist say to you, oh, these studies aren't any good. These are incredible studies. That's why the NTP actually handpicked, because there's over 80 studies, but they got down to 52 that they felt did the right, really good scientific method. They were, great methodologies. They were very well done. And that says a lot about these results.
Let's talk about where people can see these studies and these various scientific data points for themselves. Can they go anywhere online?
Yes, thank you for asking. So if they go to the IAOMT.org, so it's the International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology. The website is IAOMT.org. They can find a biologic dentist. They can find, as you mentioned, these studies. We have a library, a loaded digital library with so much information on all topics related to oral medicine. It's a great resource.
Okay, Dr. Griffith Cole, we really appreciate this conversation this morning. Thank you for joining us and illuminating us to the issues with fluoride, not only in our water, but in so many different facets of our everyday life. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Hey, I'm Brian Reed with Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And in the dog days of summer, a dirty air conditioner can leave you in the doghouse. Good news, it's tune-up time at Best Care. For $69, we'll keep you out of trouble. Let us wash away the dirt and grime of winter from your air conditioner as part of our 24-point inspection for only $69. And we'll also include a leak check at no charge. Call us today and ask about our early bird special, and we'll perform your tune-up for only $57. And when it comes to your comfort, you deserve the best.
Best Care Home. All right, well, graduation season is upon us, and whether it's high school graduation and maybe wanting to further your education or enter the workforce, or college graduates accepting a new job, financial decisions can be so stressful, and just trying to navigate through that can be very difficult. So joining us to talk a little bit more about it is Ashley Feinstein-Gerstley. She's the author of Financial Adulting, Everything You Need to Know to Be a Financially Confident and Conscious Adult. Ashley, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
So I guess the first thing I want to do is just dive right in. Let's talk about maybe what are some of the biggest mistakes or things that these young adults, whether it's 18 into your early 20s, where maybe they're making mistakes financially. What would you say is probably some of the biggest problems or things that they just don't know about?
Yes, I'd say two big things. The first, and I did both of these things, so it's coming from experience, is to wait to save until we have enough money to save. So there's this idea, and how we traditionally view saving is we earn money, we live our lives, we pay everybody else, and then we hope and wait that there will be money left over to save. And in my experience, that just doesn't work for most people. Even when we get a raise, there's still not money. So I would say pay ourselves first, pay yourself first is something that I would highly, highly recommend. And then the other is not having a plan. And I know that budgets get a bad rap. We think they might be restricting, they might limit our fun, but I view them as an act of self-love, because when we have a budget, we have a plan, we have peace of mind, we can build in things that are fun and have no guilt as we spend them, and just have clarity about where our money is going and reach our financial goals. So I would say not having a plan and waiting to save until we make more money are the two biggest mistakes that I see.
And when you talk about saving, is there a certain rule of thumb when you say you want to maybe save back this percentage of the money you're bringing in, or does it just depend on each individual's budget and what kind of money they're bringing in? What advice would you have for that?
Yes, so I would say it does depend. I am not a big fan of having a certain percentage as far as saving and investing and retirement, but I would say first and foremost, you want to have that crisis fund saved up. So that first $1,000, that first 1 month of expenses, and then from there building up to have a fully funded rainy day fund. So in case something happens with an illness or with our job, that we have money to pay for our expenses for 3 months, 6 months, depending on your personal situation.
And this is just a question for me, because I think way back, back in the day, a lot of people would have their checkbook and they would go in, and every time they would write a check, they would go in, they'd balance their checkbook. They had an idea of the money that was coming in, coming out. Do you feel like that now people really aren't using that checkbook and it's harder to maybe keep up with the money you're spending? Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I think technology has done some great things, but it makes it very easy to have no idea where our money is going. Even if you think about checkbooks are a great example, credit cards, we don't feel the pain of what we spent until the bill goes through, swiping our credit card, hopping in and out of a Lyft, we're not even really paying. So I think I'm a huge fan of having what I call money parties, which are time that we set aside to look at what's happened with our money over the last month or the last week. So actually go through and look at those expenses, because it is so easy to lose track of them. And I've had that experience where you see the credit card bill and you say, that wasn't me, but then you go through each and every expense and you realize, these things just add up. So having that time, if we don't look at our expenses, it's just not going to happen. And we need to carve out that time for ourselves.
Do you feel like that generation, you just get out of high school or you're coming out of college, that little group right there, a lot of times they're finally getting out of the house, they're starting to support themselves. Do you think that some of the biggest mistakes start off with credit cards, and maybe every time you go to a store and they say, well, you get 20% off if you apply for a credit card? Do you feel like that this generation can sometimes fall victim to that when it comes to credit cards? What are some of the biggest mistakes?
Yes. So I actually was one of the people who had that happen to me, and I didn't even understand how credit cards worked. I remember by the time I paid my bill, I had so many late fees. And so I do think there's this idea that it actually is something that I wish I knew when I graduated from school, that most people, we don't learn about this. And I'm seeing it more and more being taught in schools, which is wonderful. And I know parents want to be sharing this information with their kids, but they might not feel like they're equipped to do so. And so I do think there's this feeling when we graduate that we're the only ones who don't understand, and there can feel this like taboo of talking about it and asking questions. And what I've found is that most of us don't understand, and we're all learning as we go, and we're learning the hard way. And so I do think that helps to feel less alone as we navigate this. But then also, yes, to really, I think there's a lot working against us when it comes to personal finance, and that we're not educated about it. There's like with the credit card, there's probably 50 pages of small print that I could have read to understand it. So I would definitely caution to really understand any financial products that we sign up for. Talk to people about it, because if they don't understand and you don't understand, you might be able to find someone else, or to go and figure it out together can feel less lonely as we navigate this.
I remember when I was in college, starting in college, credit card companies, they actually would set up booths on campus, and you would end up getting a credit card, and it would have this incredibly high interest rate, but you weren't educated on what to even look for, what to consider. So I mean, I can see how credit cards can really get people into trouble. I do want to switch gears though. Student loans, a lot of people rely on student loans to be able to go to school. What kind of advice would you give when people start looking to see how much they need to be borrowing, because they do have to pay that back at some point?
Yes, so when we're going to, there's actually a chapter in the book dedicated to debt. So understanding credit cards, understanding student loans. And I think when we think about financing college, there are a lot of pieces that fund the pie. So there could be grants, there could be financial aid, there could be federal loans, there could be private loans. But at the beginning, when we're trying to figure out how much to take out, ideally we can minimize that pie. And in interviewing some experts on student loans for the book, I found that people actually can negotiate with their universities on what they're able to help them provide. In the worst case, that they say no, but then you're able to take out less debt, and then also to shop around with those private loans, just because we might think that it's that first offer we get is the best offer that we're going to get, but actually the offers can vary as far as interest rates. And when we're talking about numbers that are that big, it can make a huge difference if we're paying a 6% interest rate or an 8% interest rate or a 4% interest rate on our student loan. So I would say try to reduce the amount as much as possible and then shop around for the best rate on those private loans.
Good advice. Now, for those that are maybe graduating college, they're getting into the workforce, what are the biggest pieces of advice that you would want to send to them as far as their finances go?
I'd say the biggest, so first, again, just you're not alone in figuring this out, and financial adulting, so that is the name of my new book. Being a financial adult is about taking small, consistent steps. And so I think sometimes with a lot of different goals, but specifically our finances, we view improving in that area that it has to be this overnight transformation, that I wake up, I spend the whole weekend making my financial plan, and I'm a new person. But that sets us up for failure because it's too much of a jump. And so taking small, consistent steps that are manageable, that feel like we can keep improving, I think is the way to go, because then we're improving and learning all year round. And then something that I wished that I did more of, and I know that so many looking back at the beginning of their careers wish they did, is start saving for retirement, because when we're starting young, we have so much time to allow our money to grow and compound, and it just makes it so much easier on us later. And that money is coming out pre-tax, typically, when it's their 401k, so it actually feels less painful than you'd expect. So I'd say, looking back, that's something that a lot of people that I talk to wish they put more aside for retirement and let it grow for them.
And we've talked so much here at the Digital Desk about debt and what debt can do as far as your mental health and various other things that it can do. Do you feel, I love the name of the financial adulting. I love that. But do you feel like that one reason you decided to put this book together is because a lot of times people build up that debt while they're young, and then after they get out of college, they've built up all this debt as they're starting their new job. Do you feel like a lot of that debt ends up getting built up early on in life, and then you're just spending time trying to pay it back?
Definitely is a big part of stress in the younger generation, and something you mentioned about the booths during college and getting a free t-shirt and having, understanding that when we're paying that minimum payment, it isn't actually potentially making any dent in the balance, and our credit card could still be growing. So there's so much there. And I do think there's so much shame. First of all, there's a lot of stress around debt, especially when we're starting our careers and we might not have a lot of extra income to go towards those debt payments, but then also just the shame that comes with debt. And so I first love to talk, in the book, I talk about what debt is, and it's really just money we owe for something we bought. It doesn't mean we're bad or that we did something wrong, or it could be a certain time in our life, it could be a mistake we made. But from there, really, I think sometimes when we have so much shame around the debt, it has us even not look at it. So I take everyone through a 3-step process to make a plan to manage and pay down debt by starting with looking at what it actually is. And that can be as stressful as that sounds to list out all that information. It can be really eye-opening. And then once we know what's happening, we can make a plan to manage it. So always better to have that information than to not look.
And educating yourself about what you need to know is so important. And you were mentioning about paying that minimum. I had a friend that during that age time between 18, early 20s, she got a bunch of credit cards and she told me, she's like, just pay the minimum payment. And I'm like, this is terrible advice. I guess any final points you want to make before we let you go?
I go back to that taking small, consistent steps. And you mentioned earlier why I wrote this book. And because so many of the things that you're mentioning are things that I made mistakes with. And I studied finance, I worked in finance, and I still knew nothing about my own finances. And so this is something that we are not set up for. So we want to learn as much as we can. And my goal is, in writing this book and in the work I do, that others don't have to make the same mistakes that I did and can progress through their financial lives with a lot less stress and potentially heartache.
Well, Ashley Feinstein-Gerstley, the author of Financial Adulting, Everything You Need to Know to Be a Financially Confident and Conscious Adult. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing some really great advice and some really good tips for our viewers this morning.
Thank you for having me.
People need options. You need the option to excel, the chance to get beyond where you are, to refresh your skills and leap into the future. You need the option to be local, the possibility of growth where your roots are, while taking care of you and your loved ones. You need the option of a helping hand, the occasion to talk to someone who can help you take yourself to the next level. Go far, close to home. Northwest Mississippi Community College.
Hi, folks, Bob Burke of the Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Thinking about buying a newer used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory rebates up to $1,000 and interest rates low as 2.9. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just the way you're doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Thanks to Sunrise.
Okay, Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare hosts a Camp Bravehearts. They've been doing this for many, many years. This is such an amazing experience, and it's for children ages 6 to 16 who have experienced a loss or bereavement. And it's been going on for quite a bit of time. I can remember doing stories years ago about it. And all I hear is that people who have attended this camp say that it's helped them so much. Let's bring in the camp director, Mark Smith, now on the digital desk to talk more about this year's camp. Mark, good morning to you. We have thousands of people who watch us here on the digital desk each and every morning. Can you fill them in on exactly what Camp Braveheart is? Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having us on today. Camp Bravehearts is a free 3-day camp for children and teens ages 6 to 16 who have experienced the death of a family member or friend within generally the past 2 years prior to attending camp. It's staffed by a team of trained professionals and volunteers, and we spend those 3 days together learning to deal with their grief. We do that in several ways. One way is simply normalization. Truthfully, no one in society lives very long without being touched by loss of some kind, but as a society, we do a very poor job of acknowledging grief and loss. It's something we tend to keep behind closed doors and try to deal with on our own. We stuff it down and don't acknowledge it at all. So one thing that camp does just right from the start is it normalizes it. Everyone there, even our staff, have been touched by losses. So we normalize that grief. We come together as a group of staff and children and teens, and we acknowledge the grief rather than stuffing it down and pretending it isn't there. And beyond that, we work toward expressing the emotions that comes with grief in healthy ways rather than destructive ways. And we do that through a variety of activities that may speak to a particular teen or child in ways such as expressive art, expressive music, fun, a group, physical. You know, when you think of a camp, those sorts of camp activities, and sharing memories and stories of our loved ones.
You know, I can't imagine anyone at the ages of 6 to 16 who have lost someone so near and dear to their hearts, perhaps a parent, a brother and sister. It just is devastating for that. And for you guys to organize this kind of camp is so great, making it free and open to anyone. But I know May 26th is when registration closes. So people need to begin registering now for this camp that is from June 21st through the 23rd. Tell me about the coping skills that you guys, you and your staff try to teach at the camp, Mark.
For sure. First is simply acknowledging it. So again, many people are taught that we should pretend our grief isn't there, that simply to go on and be strong. Be strong is something that you hear quite often when it comes to grief. And unfortunately, many people hear be strong, and they feel like, well, that means I have to put on a brave face. I have to act as if I'm not feeling all of these things that I am feeling, but I'm supposed to be strong. There's this expectation put on me, and so I can't let anybody see that. I can't let anybody know what I'm feeling inside. So again, from the beginning, just normalizing that what you feel in grief is part of grief. It's okay to feel. It's okay to express it. No, we do want to express in healthy ways. One emotion that people may feel with grief, sometimes we feel angry about the loss. And certainly there are healthy ways to express anger, and there are unhealthy and destructive ways to express anger. So we talk about that. We have some examples. One activity that we do every year involves going to the edge of a lake, and we have an emotion that we write. And for different campers, it's different what that emotion is, but a difficult, big emotion they've been holding on to. And we write that onto a rock, and we do a physical activity of throwing that rock into the lake to represent being able to let that out. So for someone who's holding on perhaps to anger, that physical emotion of throwing the rock in a safe place, the lake, instead of at someone, is a healthy way, for example, to let that anger out. And also that physical activity, there's an actual energy release there. We also talk about coping through art, coping through music. Now, not everyone, will that speak to. So we talk about other ways. We have a child life specialist who's a part of our team, and she's going to be doing programming with our age groups about that. We have a music therapist that is coming over from Le Bonheur. He's going to be spending time talking about how music becomes a part of your coping, even if you're not making music yourself, how you can integrate music into your coping. We have other activities that we do that are specifically geared to talking about if you're having big feelings, what are some ways, a menu, if you will, of expressing those and coping with those that acknowledges, lets the feeling come, and lets you process, think through, express in healthy ways, rather than keeping it bottled up inside, rather than turning yourself into a human pressure cooker, if you will, waiting for it to just explode.
We're talking about Camp Bravehearts with the camp director, Mark Smith. Camp Bravehearts, 3-day free camp, June 21st to 23rd, a safe space for emotional healing after the death of a family member for anyone who's 6 to 16. I know it's at For the Kingdom Retreat Center in Northeast Memphis. That's a beautiful campus, and it feels like you're out in the woods when you're actually in the city of Memphis, but it's beautiful, and there's so many great things for the kids to participate in. Tell me what you notice about campers as they participate in various studies and activities there at the camp during Camp Bravehearts.
Well, Andrew, kids are kids, and on day one we see a variety of personalities, just what you'd expect from a group of kids and teens. When we first welcome kids into camp, For the Kingdom has a great facility, and so there's we'll have some different we'll have volleyballs, basketballs, different things that the kids can do just to kind of, as they acclimate to being on site there. And you'll see some who are open and playful and quickly making friends and being loud like kids and teens do. Some are quiet and reserved and kind of hanging out on the edges, a little more introverted. But pretty early in the day, we have an activity, again, that acknowledges that elephant in the room, that we're all there. We're having fun, and everyone there, even our staff, all of our campers, have had a loss. And we begin to normalize. And as we keep doing activities, some fun, some serious, some physical activities that then we can make connections back to loss and expression and feeling, some that are very focused on different aspects of loss and expression and emotion. You might see common ground between the campers begin to form, just maybe over, you like Pokemon or you like soccer, so do I, and it's friendships that begin to form. Maybe it's, you lost your mom, I lost my mom, and common ground begins to form. Friendships begin to form. Campers begin to find that it's okay and it's safe to share because everybody here has had a loss, and nobody's going to judge me for what I feel in this place. So over the time together, then we begin to see some victories. Maybe it's a small victory where just someone who's been quiet through several sessions realizes that it's safe to share, and maybe they speak up and they share something that's on their mind. Maybe it's a larger victory. Maybe it's somebody who's really nervous, maybe about one of the physical activities. There's a climbing wall activity, and maybe somebody who's nervous about that, they take a small step. Maybe it's just they walk up to the wall and they literally take one step up off the ground, and that's the victory. And that's a huge victory because their friends that they've been with in their group are cheering them on and supporting them, not in a judgmental way, but just, hey, you can do this. We're here with you, which also is parallel to grief. Hey, we're in this together. We're here with you. So sometimes we also see big victories in the emotional front, like, hey, I've never really shared how I felt before, and now I feel like I can. And not just here at camp. Maybe I can go back and tell other friends or my family how I feel. These are the changes that we can see over our time together.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate everything you and your staff does for this camp and for so many Memphians and families out there that are going through such a devastating loss. Where can people sign up? Where can they get more information about Camp Bravehearts? And is there anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
They can go to methodisthealth.org/Camp Bravehearts. methodisthealth.org/Camp Bravehearts. All our information for registration is on our website there. And also, if anyone would like to sponsor our camp, it is free for campers due to generous donations through the Methodist Foundation and the Methodist Golf Classic. So information about how to sponsor campers on the webpage. We're actually going to, Andrew, we're going to extend that registration out to May 31st, just to try to get even more. We're having great response. We want to get even more response to our camp. Just the last thing that I would share for everyone who's listening is grief is a normal and natural reaction to loss. And Methodist Healthcare wants to partner with our community to walk through that with you. So please check out our website. And if you know a child or a teen who's had a loss, please send them our way.
Okay, well, listen, Mark Smith, we really appreciate you. Camp Bravehearts Program Director, thank you for all that you do for the community and Camp Bravehearts. Again, that registration deadline has been extended until the very end of May 31st. The camp, again, June 21st to 23rd for the Kingdom Retreat Center in Northeast Memphis. Mark, good luck this year. Thanks again for all that you do.
Thank you, Andrew.
Banking with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
Hey, did you hear the news? If not, catch up now with Action News 5's official YouTube channel. You can like, comment, and share the stories that matter to you. Meet the Action News 5 team and get a blast from the past in the Action News 5 vault. Top stories and special reports you may have missed or just want to watch again are added daily, so you can stay in the know with the 901. Visit youtube.com/Action News 5 and never miss out on the exciting things happening around you.
I'm Bobby Jones of Delta Medicare Benefits Group, the Mid-South's #1 trusted source for all things Medicare. At Delta Medicare Benefits Group, you work with local Mid-Southerners. There's no 800 number, no machines to talk to, just local Medicare experts. Together, we'll come up with the best Medicare plan that fits your individual needs. Call today for your free Medicare consultation at 460-7220 or stop by our office at 5050 Poplar Avenue.
Bank with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose a summer splash pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
AM Action News 5 meteorologist Spencer Denton. As we go through the day and the rest of this week, we're looking for pretty warm conditions, although it's going to be mostly dry. There could be a passing downpour parts of northeast Mississippi later this afternoon. There's an area of low pressure hanging out down toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what's going to keep bringing in or pulling in a little bit of moisture today and tomorrow. But again, most areas stay on the dry side. This is not going to be a big rain chance at all. And then no sign of any major cold front, any area of low pressure, really any sign of extreme heat either. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Look at those temperatures, low to mid 80s. Again, if we see a passing downpour, it would be along Highway 72, maybe up toward Pickwick Lake, the Tennessee River area, back toward maybe Bolivar or Selmer, Tennessee. But most areas will stay dry for the rest of us. And then as we go into tomorrow, pretty dry to start off the day on your Tuesday. And then I think anyone could see a passing shower or storm in the afternoon or evening hours. So this would be 3 to about 6 or 8 p.m. We could see one or two of those in any spot. So tomorrow's probably the highest rain chance, although it's still pretty low. The rest of the week into Memorial Day weekend is looking high and dry. Here's a look at the forecast for today. 83 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10. Keep that 20% chance in, mainly for northeast Mississippi. Highs around 82 in Ripley, Tennessee today, 82 in Dyersburg, 83 in Somerville, 83 in Bolivar. Down to the south, a little bit warmer. Tunica, Marks, maybe Clarksdale in the mid 80s. And then as we go into eastern Arkansas, I think around 82 and Wynne, 83 in Forest City and in Mariana as well. Check out the 7-day temperature trend because I wanted to show you this. Mid 80s come back as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Then a weak front comes through. That's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, and it stays relatively pleasant as far as humidity levels are concerned for most of the week. Then by the weekend, we start to heat up, and by early next week, we could be hitting 90 degrees in some areas of the Mid-South. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week on the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. But again, as we head into the weekend, and a lot of folks have big plans, maybe big lake plans, hanging out at friend's house. It is going to be warm, but nothing too extreme, not too humid out there, and very comfortable at night. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, some areas in the upper 50s. Our biggest chance for a shot of a shower or storm, again, comes tomorrow afternoon. It's only a 1 in 3 chance for most areas. We'll keep you advised throughout the week.
No one deserves to live like this. When it's time for a plumber, you deserve the best. Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Are you someone who listens to a lot of podcasts? I certainly do, and I'm always looking for new podcasts, ones that are interesting to me, that are maybe relevant in my life. Well, I have got a great podcast for you to listen to. It is called Just Bluffing, and it is all about Memphis. Yes, and I am joined on the digital desk by the two lovely ladies behind this podcast. Shannon Briggs, Cecil Fay joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Ladies, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us. Tell me about Just Bluffing. Shannon, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks for having us this morning. Just Bluffin' is a podcast that you're right. It's all about Memphis. We work with Campfire Collective, and our goal and mission is to uplift those in Memphis who are doing the hard work to make Memphis better every day. So this podcast is just another outlet to do that. We are interviewing community change makers and leaders and those who are just getting in and doing the work in Memphis.
Awesome. Okay, so Cecilia, tell me about what the first couple of podcasts. What I understand is you guys have had 2 episodes recently. Tell me how it's been.
Yes, so it's honestly been a lot of fun. It's been a whirlwind getting it together. I basically came to Shannon a couple months ago and was like, hey, we should do a podcast. And we've been working on it and reaching out to guests. And the first 2 guests were George Abbott and then Lee Mansberg, and they've both been a lot of fun. And we look forward to having more people like them on.
Okay, so George Abbott, that's Memphis River Parks Partnership,
Yes.
talking about Memphis in May and Tom Lee Park and the redevelopment of that. Tell me about the episode 2 and what's on tap for episode 3, Cecilia.
Episode 3 will be without Memphis for Pride Month, and we'll be chatting with them about some of the things they're doing in regards to the new legislation in Tennessee and how they're celebrating Pride Month this year.
Gotcha. And Shannon, over to you. Tell me about this podcast. Is it just about events that are happening? Is it just about things that are issues that are people are looking forward to? Give me the whole ball of wax here. What is the podcast covering? Is it covering politics? Tell me.
No, it's all at the core of community. So we're interviewing people who to learn more about them, their career journey, and really the organizations that they're working with. So George Abbott told us all about Memphis River Parks, the work he does there, the redevelopment of Tom Lee Park and his journey through that, and how it all kind of ties in with Memphis in May this year. Lee Mansberg with Junior Achievement, that episode came out right as JA Inspire happened last week. So she gave us a deep dive into all the work that Junior Achievement does in Memphis and what JA Inspire is and what it means to our city. And Out Memphis, they talked to us about the legislation. So a little bit of politics, yes, but more about the work that they do in our community. And then after that, we have MLK 50 coming with to talk about social justice and their work in the reporting space. And that's going to tie into Juneteenth as well. So really, it's more about storytelling, the work that people are doing in the community. Yes, they can talk about events, but we want to know about the organizations, what they're doing, and then really getting people plugged in and learning about how they can help as well.
So how has been the response so far? You've had 2 episodes and you're about to have a 3rd and a 4th. Tell me about reaction, Shannon.
It's been great. We've had a lot of great response. People love the different stories. They love listening to it, from what I can tell. But really for us, it's a little bit selfish too. We've just had a great time having an excuse to talk to all of these people and learn more. I mean, personally, it's what I love doing anyway. It's my favorite part of my job is talking to people and learning about them. So this is just another avenue where I get to do that. Sure.
Yeah, I mean it's such a new medium, and it's where people are going when it comes to maybe taking a ride in the car, stuck in traffic. They put on a podcast and they can kind of get through the day, perhaps a workout, what have you. Cecilia, anything when it comes to what you'd like to see maybe 6-12 months down the road?
Oh goodness, probably a lot of things. My ultimate goal is to interview Brene Brown, but that's probably not going to happen. She's too famous. But yeah, I would love to just expand our guest list and expand who we're talking to even local business owners and people that might not necessarily have a large stage. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I think the possibilities are endless at this point.
So where can people find you guys? And tell me anything else you'd like to mention before we let you go.
So you can find the podcast on Spotify and Podbean, and honestly anywhere that podcasts are. And then you can follow us on Build a Campfire on Instagram and all the social media apps. Shannon, is there anything I missed?
Yeah, buildacampfire.com is where you can learn about our episodes, all the upcoming ones as well, and Build a Campfire for on social media. And that just about covers it. We have a lot of fun episodes coming up. We've banked a lot too, so we have some more exciting ones in store, and we're booking out episodes for the rest of this year now. We're excited for what's to come. You'll need to follow us to stay tuned on what we have ahead.
Let me ask you this. Is it once a week, and is it an hour long? How long are they?
Sure. It's every other week, and they are roughly, 45 minutes to an hour. We actually have to edit them down. Like I said, I love having these conversations, and we come with a set of questions that we want to ask these guests, but when it comes to it, I just start asking questions as we get into the conversations even more because I'm so fascinated by what these people are saying. So we pare it down to about 45 minutes and give y'all the best of the conversations from there. But every other Tuesday is when we will be releasing these.
Okay, great. Shannon Briggs, Cecil Fay. By the way, I know what it means to just want to ask a million questions to people, and you got to edit it down, no question about it. Ladies, congratulations on the new podcast. Good luck to you, and looking forward to checking it out. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Andrew. We appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so now let's get in and talk about one of the issues that came up over the weekend had to deal with Memphis Police Chief C.J. Davis and the Memphis Police Department's juvenile abatement program. So the Greenlaw community members, they're speaking out about this juvenile abatement program because they don't necessarily want that community center to be used to house juveniles who have violated curfew. Walter Murphy explains.
I had no idea. No.
People who live in the Greenlaw community say they had no idea that the Memphis Police Department planned to turn their community center into a holding spot for juveniles who were apprehended for breaking curfew in downtown Memphis. Now, that would be part of the program announced last month called the Juvenile Crime Abatement Program.
They did not knock on anybody's door. They did not walk the streets, and they did not get any input from residents that live in this community about what they want.
So Vincent Spriggs and other community members took it upon themselves to get the word out in Greenlaw and let the community know what the city had planned for their community center. And on Sunday, they held a meeting at Black Seed Urban Farms to strategize ahead of another meeting that the Memphis Police Department will hold on Tuesday night. The overwhelming consensus
that they don't want Greenlaw Community Center to be a holding center. While I do think there's a valid concern for crime and safety, especially in the downtown area, we look at other alternatives, in my opinion.
They worry property values could decrease in the Greenlaw neighborhood as a result of having the holding center located there. But the main concern was that the community center wouldn't be able to give kids constructive, safe things to do in a neighborhood that already lacks fun things for the youth to get involved in, which they think would only exacerbate the crime problem MPD says that they're trying to fix.
People don't really have a way to access those resources. So, I mean, if it's in the community, it's literally a community center. So let's make it a center for the resources for the community.
And on Tuesday, this group, along with others in Greenlaw, plan to propose countermeasures to Police Chief C.J. Davis when she hosts a community forum.
If you have ever been to Greenlaw Community Center, you need to show up, you need to be present, because if you don't have a seat at the table, that means that you're on a menu.
In Memphis, Walter Murphy, Action News 5.
All righty, so the community meeting will be tomorrow night. It'll be at 6 o'clock. It'll be at the Greenlaw Community Center. Everyone in District 7, surrounding neighborhoods, are encouraged to attend. I want to show you this. This is the juvenile program, the juvenile curfew program. Remember, all Memphis juveniles are under curfew. Teens 16 and under must be inside between 10 p.m. 6 a.m. Monday through Thursday. The curfew for those teens 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. It's just something to keep in mind there. All right, so let's talk now about people running for office, okay, in the city of Memphis, because not only Memphis mayoral elections, but also when it comes to the Memphis municipal elections. So that's city council members, that's other elected offices within the city, including the mayor. Joyce Peterson explains what can happen now after a Chancery Court judge ruled that Floyd Bonner and Van Turner can run for the top office. Take a look.
I'm pleased with the chancellor's decision.
Victory in Shelby County Chancery Court Thursday for Memphis NAACP president and mayoral candidate Van Turner.
I think that I've proven that I'm vested in this city. I love this city. I'm a native of Whitehaven. And so I'm ready to run hard for this.
Attorneys for the city of Memphis argued there's a 5-year residency requirement for mayoral candidates. Attorneys for Turner, Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner, and the Memphis City Council argued that voters did away with that in a 1996 referendum. Significant because Turner lived in unincorporated Shelby County and Bonner in Bartlett until both bought houses in Memphis this year.
We'll start showing up and talking about the issues. I think that's the important thing that citizens want to hear from all the candidates.
So it puts a lot more focus on the voters, which is where it should be. They should be making the decision.
When asked why the city of Memphis pushed for this 5-year residency requirement, Bonner's attorney told us.
Because they have a preferred candidate that they want to win, and they believe that that candidate is more likely to win if Mr. Bonner and Mr. Turner are not in the race.
Reaction to the ruling from other candidates in the race? MSCS School Board member Michelle McKissick tweeted, "The court ruled suburban residents can run for mayor of Memphis. I'm confident our neighbors want a Memphian leading our city." Downtown Memphis Commission President Paul Young tells Action News 5, "From the onset of this campaign, our focus has been on showcasing how I will be the transformative leader Memphis needs in this pivotal moment. That goal remains unchanged. I eagerly await the chance to engage in spirited debate with all candidates." And Tennessee House Minority Leader Representative Karen Camper says the decision to allow candidates to run for mayor who do not meet the residency requirements sets a dangerous precedent that will allow anyone from anywhere to be eligible to serve as Memphis mayor.
Okay, that was Joyce Peterson reporting here. I want to show you this. This is businessman, former Shelby County Commissioner and mayoral candidate J.W. Gibson. He said, "I'm terribly disappointed, frustrated with the decision. It opens the door for non-residents from Arkansas or Mississippi." He went on to say to throw their name in contention to the highest local government position here in the city without living here. Memphians should be disgusted and insulted. The candidates did have much more to say. You can read their full statements on our website at actionnews5.com. Let's talk about TCAP scores, because TCAP scores are top of mind on many people today. Mid-South third graders are going to receive these scores in Memphis Shelby County schools among all the school districts across West Tennessee and across the state. They're expected to get an email or a letter with regards to their child's results. These are parents, and if those students don't score high enough in the English language arts sections, they could be forced to go to summer school, retake the test, or perhaps be held back. So this is something to be looking for in your email and to see how your daughter or son did.
Cutting out cable doesn't mean you have to cut out local news. Action News 5 makes it easy to keep up with what's happening in the 901 through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can watch breaking news and weather from anywhere we go live, like and comment on the stories that matter to you, and share your ideas directly with us. So tap in using your phone, tablet, or computer, making it easy to stay in the know in the 901. We're taking action for you. WMC Action News 5. Find us wherever you scroll.
Hi, I'm Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am officially vaccinated. I cannot wait to get back to spending time with my family and friends. I think people should do their research and make sure they get informed on the vaccine, and I definitely did that. I definitely looked up side effects, everything that I could find out, and I felt like it was still in my best interest to get the vaccine as well for anybody, really. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that.
Okay, let's talk about Mississippians affected by the March tornadoes now have less than 1 week to apply for assistance. Can be used for rent, temporary housing, other disaster-related needs. The deadline May 25th, which is this Thursday. For more information, you can go to our website, actionnews5.com. Also want to let you know about Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves issuing a new directive to the Mississippi Department of Public Safety to watch out for potential illegal immigration now that the Title 42 has expired. He asked the Department of Public Safety to maintain and increase their interaction with local law enforcement. Governor wants officers to watch out for drug or human trafficking related to illegal border crossings. Dozens of Tennessee businesses hoping to participate in a program to save lives are stocking up on a medicine that, when used properly, can reverse the effects of an opioid overdose. Solarian Risk Management is a security group that offers these emergency response kits. In Nashville, they're spread out across different bars and restaurants. The CEO of the company, Jack Bird, said the kits give a step-by-step instruction on how to administer Narcan.
And when you open it up, and it will will start playing a video that tells you how to properly put on your PPE to make sure that you're safe, everyone else is safe. Seconds matter, absolutely. And when you encounter someone experiencing that kind of crisis.
Yeah, Bird said the kits are important because the area is seeing such an increase in overdoses. CDC estimates that about 70% of cardiac arrests happen at home, and about half of those don't get the help they need before the ambulance arrives. That's why it is so very important. The American Heart Association says it's critical for everyone to know what to do in an emergency, including children. In this morning's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on what to teach kids.
It can happen in an instant. When a person goes into cardiac arrest, time is critical, and many times these emergencies happen at home.
9 out of 10 people will not survive. And that's not because we don't know what to do for them. It's that oftentimes people don't recognize it soon enough. Oftentimes they don't have CPR performed. They don't have an AED.
Emergency physician Camilla Sasson helped write a statement for the American Heart Association, stressing the importance of everyone, including children as young as 4 years old, to know what to do in an emergency. She says the first thing to know is how to recognize cardiac arrest.
They've suddenly collapsed. They're not breathing normally. Maybe they're gasping for air.
Sasson says even young children should know their address and know to call 911 in an emergency.
We practiced about how to use the phone and tell them, hey, look, this is where I live. I need help.
Sasson says for every minute a person in cardiac arrest doesn't have CPR performed, chances of survival go down by 10%.
Put your other hand on top.
That's why she says older children who have enough strength can even learn this potentially life-saving technique.
I have them practice at home about where is your breastbone? Okay, how would you find that on somebody else? Okay, if you needed to push hard and fast at a rate of 100 to 120 beats per minute, we turn on the radio and we listen to a few songs that we know are at that beat.
Sasson says no one is too young or too old to save a life. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Let's talk about the Memphis Showboats. They've won 3 straight after beating Pittsburgh a shutout over the weekend. And during this 3-game win streak, Memphis has allowed just 20 points total. They have forced 10 turnovers. It's incredible. They started 0-3. Now they're 3-3, just 1 game behind the 3 teams in front of them. Congratulations to the Showboats and the rowdy crowds of the Yacht Club. Yes, that's the group that roots for the Memphis Showboats the loudest, the Memphis Yacht Club. Love seeing it. All right, the Redbirds finished their 6-game series against the Gwinnett Stripers. Wasn't the finale they were hoping for. Stripers beat the Redbirds 7-1, meaning the Redbirds have lost 5 out of their 6 home games last week. Ooh, the Redbirds will host Norfolk for another 6-game series starting tomorrow. One little girl taking it upon herself to raise money to fund research into rare diseases, and she's doing it one child and one cookie at a time. A great Best Life report that we talked about. And I want to show you how this little girl is helping other children live their best life. Check it out.
Measure, mix, bake, sell, repeat. This is the drill for 13-year-old Dana Perella and her army of bakers. They have one mission in mind.
You make cookies and it helps people. It can help people, and I really like to bake.
It all began when Dana and her mom Alexis wanted to help their friend Mella, who was living with a fatal disease called Batten.
I was absolutely devastated.
They started baking cookies and selling them around the neighborhood.
She was so little, this little girl just pulling her wagon around trying to save the life of her friend. And it was really incredible.
It took me 3 months at first to raise my first $1,000.
In a year, that number grew to $56,000 raised for research. Doctors did end up finding a treatment, but it was too late for Mella.
So after that, I discovered that my friend Ollie had also developed a different rare disease. I did end up raising $30,000 and hiring a new postdoc researcher at the Stanford PANS Clinic, which was really, really cool.
In 2017, Dana began Cookies for Cures, a way kids can help other kids, like Sophie, who has a disease that makes her bones dissolve.
Sophie is like a younger sister to me.
Dana has raised over $10,000 to aid in research for Sophie.
It's making a big difference in what we can do and the researchers that we can fund.
Through her nonprofit, Dana gives kids across the country an outline on how to make cookie pop-ups and is now working with organizations to create their own branch of Cookies for Cures.
It's extended much farther than the kids that I personally know.
Even while juggling life as a middle schooler, Cookies for Cures has raised over $300,000.
Kids are an amazingly untapped resource. They have so much heart and passion and energy, and they want to help.
It's like kind of showing just like the simple act of baking cookies can help save lives.
It's really cool that a couple cookies can help someone that's sick.
Dana's goal? To someday have Cookies for Cures campaigns for every single rare pediatric disease.
If you try your hardest and you really want to make something happen, you can do it no matter how young you are.
Dana is hoping to donate small grants to help her children in other states get started, and hopes by sharing her business plan, kids will be able to start their own Cookies for Cures. With ways to live your best life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5. Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. The Methodist Le Bonheur Transplant Institute is hosting a community educational event this coming Sunday, May 21st. It's called The Big Ask, The Big Give. Let's talk more about this event with Gayatri Jaishankar. She is Senior Director and Transplant Administrator at the Methodist Transplant Institute. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well, Gayatri. So tell me about the Big Ask, Big Give.
So we are very, very excited to partner with the National Kidney Foundation on the Big Ask, Big Give. It's a program that is designed for patients who have kidney disease and are looking for an organ transplant. And it helps the patient have those crucial conversations on how one can go about finding a living donor for themselves. The program is also beneficial to anyone who is looking to be a living donor, either for a loved one, someone that they know, or just altruistically to help someone on the kidney transplant waiting list.
Tell me about this event. Has it happened before? Who shows up? What are you expecting to come out of this event, Gayatri?
It is for the first time that the event is happening at Methodist University Hospital at the Transplant Institute in Memphis, but the event has happened at other transplant programs around the country. So it's a program that happens across the nation, and we are bringing the same program to our community, to our program. The event is, like I said, it helps patients understand how to have those conversations on finding a living donor for themselves. We have noticed that that has been the greatest struggle for patients, and it teaches you tools, tricks, and tactics on how you can not only have those conversations with your near and dear, but also with the extended community.
So who are you expecting to show up at this event? I mean, who can participate? Is it only for people looking for transplants, kidney transplant lists, that sort of thing?
So the event is most beneficial for people who are needing a kidney transplant. So either you are on a transplant list or you are considering kidney transplant as a treatment option, but the event is open to the community. Like I had mentioned, there are many avenues to becoming a living donor. You can either become a living donor for someone that you know personally, for a loved one, or you could be an altruistic living donor where you just want to donate a kidney to anyone in your community because it is life-saving, and they don't say the gift of life simply. It truly is a gift of life. So the event is educational, and we welcome anybody who wants to participate, but the event is most beneficial if you're looking at kidney transplant as a treatment option.
So I'm curious, if I have a family member that is having some kidney problems and then it turns out that they need a kidney transplant, what's the process to go about finding if I perhaps am a match?
That's a great question. Every transplant program, especially at our center, we put in the same, if not more, effort into evaluating whether a person is going to qualify to being a living donor. We have an obligation not only to our patients, but to our donors because it is the most selfless of acts. We have a criteria, a medical criteria that we evaluate a potential donor on to find out if you are going to be a match for who you intend to donate. But there is also a program that we do, which is a kidney swap program. So if you are interested in being a donor for someone, but you may not qualify on being a direct donor for the person that you intend to be, then you can donate to someone else and your loved one can benefit from another donor's kidney who may also be incompatible. So there are many options to being a donor. They are all evaluated extremely carefully. They are evaluated on each individual patient basis. And we make sure that it is very, very safe for the donor to proceed with donation and they can lead healthy, happy lives post-donation.
That sounds fantastic. I know you guys do amazing work there at Methodist. Where can people learn more about this event? Is it free?
Yes, the event is free. The event is at Methodist University Hospital, as you mentioned, on the 21st of May at 1 p.m. The entire community can learn more on this event from our Facebook page. It's Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. We have all of the details of the event, how to register. Even if you haven't registered, we will be able to register you in real time. We are just looking for participation because it is going to be so informational for the community.
Okay, Gayatri Jaishankar, we appreciate you joining us. The Methodist Transplant Institute, you guys do amazing work each and every day. Thank you for all that you do and appreciate the info on the digital desk. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much for having me.
Bank with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
Hey, did you hear the news? If not, catch up now with Action News 5's official YouTube channel. You can like, comment, and share the stories that matter to you. Meet the Action News 5 team and get a blast from the past in the Action News 5 vault. Top stories and special reports you may have missed or just want to watch again are added daily, so you can stay in the know with the 901. Visit youtube.com/actionnews5 and never miss out on the exciting things happening around you.
I'm Bobby Jones of Delta Medicare Benefits Group, the Mid-South's #1 trusted source for all things Medicare. At Delta Medicare Benefits Group, you work with local Mid-Southerners. There's no 800 number, no machines to talk to, just local Medicare experts. Together, we'll come up with the best Medicare plan that fits your individual needs. Call today for your free Medicare consultation at 460-7220 or stop by our office at 5050 Poplar Avenue.
Bank with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
Hey, I'm Action News 5 meteorologist Spencer Denton. As we go through the day and the rest of this week, we're looking for pretty warm conditions, although it's going to be mostly dry. There could be a passing downpour parts of northeast Mississippi later this afternoon. There's an area of low pressure hanging out down toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what's going to keep bringing in or pulling in a little bit of moisture today and tomorrow. But again, most areas stay on the dry side. This is not going to be a big rain chance at all. And then no sign of any major cold front, any area of low pressure, really any sign of extreme heat either. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Look at those temperatures, low to mid 80s. Again, if we see a passing downpour, it would be along Highway 72, maybe up toward Pickwick Lake, the Tennessee River area, back toward maybe Bolivar or Selmer, Tennessee. But most areas will stay dry for the rest of us. And then as we go into tomorrow, pretty dry to start off the day on your Tuesday. And then I think anyone could see a passing shower or storm in the afternoon or evening hours. So this would be 3 to about 6 or 8 p.m. We could see 1 or 2 of those in any spot. So tomorrow's probably the highest rain chance, although it's still pretty low. The rest of the week into Memorial Day weekend is looking high and dry. Here's a look at the forecast for today. 83 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10. Keep that 20% chance in, mainly for northeast Mississippi. Highs around 82 in Ripley, Tennessee today, 82 in Dyersburg, 83 in Somerville, 83 in Bolivar. Down to the south, a little bit warmer. Tunica, Marks, maybe Clarksdale in the mid-80s. And then as we go into eastern Arkansas, I think around 82 and Wynne, 83 in Forest City and in Mariana as well. Check out the 7-day temperature trend because I wanted to show you this. Mid-80s come back as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Then a weak front comes through. That's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, and it stays relatively pleasant as far as humidity levels are concerned for most of the week. Then by the weekend, we start to heat up, and by early next week, we could be hitting 90 degrees in some areas of the Mid-South. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week on the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. But again, as we head into the weekend, and a lot of folks have big plans, maybe big lake plans, hanging out at friend's house. It is going to be warm, but nothing too extreme, not too humid out there, and very comfortable at night. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, some areas in the upper 50s. Our biggest chance for a shot of a shower or storm, again, comes tomorrow afternoon. It's only a 1 in 3 chance for most areas. We'll keep you advised throughout the week.
Hey, I'm Brian Reed with Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And in the dog days of summer, a dirty air conditioner can leave you in the doghouse. Good news, it's tune-up time at Best Care. For $69, we'll keep you out of trouble. Let us wash away the dirt and grime of winter from your air conditioner as part of our 24-point inspection for only $69. And we'll also include a leak check at no charge. Call us today and ask about our early bird special, and we'll perform your tune-up for only $57. And when it comes to your comfort, you deserve the best.
Best Care Home. Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. September is World Alzheimer's Awareness Month, and a lot of times when you have a parent that has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it doesn't just affect them. It affects the entire family. It affects the caregivers. It affects the entire network. And a lot of times there is that feeling of loneliness that comes with it. Well, now there is an online support group that is trying to help that. It's called Parenting Aging Parents. And I'm joined now by the founders, the co-founders of this online support community, Kim and Mike Barnes. They are joining us there from Texas, right? Good morning to you both.
Yes. That's right. We're in Austin, but the issues are worldwide.
Yes, no question about it. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us. I have an aging parent. I have a father who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's several years ago. So this is right in my wheelhouse. I know exactly what you guys are going through. Tell me about the idea of this online support community and why it was important for you both to discover this and ignite this and really kind of make sure that everyone knows about it.
Well, it came about because of my mom having Alzheimer's and going through all of that, which, as you know, is not a very fun thing to do. But as my mom's Alzheimer's got worse and worse and worse, we talked to my dad, my sister and I did, about having to move her to memory care because things were getting so bad. And my dad said, that's fine. Y'all are in charge. So we went and looked at 4 memory care places pretty close to where they lived. And we felt so overwhelmed. We had no idea what questions to ask, what to look for, what the red flags might be. So we were very, very overwhelmed.
And when he came home from that trip, he said, I feel like if we were really prepared with all the legal and financial and all of those documents and information that you feel like is the important stuff that you need to have, which it is important to have, yet he said, if we felt that overwhelmed and felt prepared, I can't imagine how most people feel. And during that time, we were also going through challenges with my mom, who lives in a different city than we are and has been diagnosed with mixed dementia. And just, we've had to take the checkbook away, and we've had to we had to sort of get her not to drive anymore. And so all of those things. And so when Mike said, I feel like we should help people, the easiest thing we thought to do would be, let's start an online community, a free private Facebook group to bring people together, because you can often feel like, surely I'm the only person doing this. And then you realize once you start asking around, Everybody is, but just nobody talks about it.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And so here is this online place for support for that family, those caregivers out there. When people go to this site, and go ahead and give us the web address or where people can find this group, what can they find in addition to that support?
Well, the website is parentingagingparents.com. And on the website, we have more than 50 interviews with experts, with lawyers, with doctors, with insurance people about Medicare, Medicaid, all kinds of things, because there's so much information out there that you just have no idea what it is. And when you're the young adult or the older adult caregiver of an aging parent, the adult child of a caregiver, you don't know what to look for, what questions to ask, what's available out there. So that helps that. But we also figured out very quickly that so many people in this type of condition, this state of their life, feel so alone because it's not something that you bring up with people. You don't go to your neighbors or go to a party or go to work and say, yeah, I'm not doing too well with Alzheimer's. How are you doing today? It just doesn't go that way.
So the on the website, you'll find all those interviews, and then also a button that leads right to joining the Facebook group if they're interested. And within that group, you just see people supporting and helping each other, giving insight and sharing experiences. Because if there's one thing that I've learned from my mom getting scammed multiple times, that I can tell somebody else to help them either figure out what to do when that happens or prevent it. That's awesome. I love being able to do that, because as I mentioned, we don't talk about it, and we can't help each other if we don't talk about it. So it really just brings people together to have that safe place to be able to say, I don't know what to do. Here's the situation, or that kind of thing, to really feel supported and feel like you have others that can appreciate and understand what you're going through.
Those scammers out there that call, I want to reach out across the phone, into the phone, and just strangle them. It is so frustrating how they prey on some of these older Americans out there. Tell me, when you are kind of looking and set up this site, parentingagingparents.com, what are some of the biggest questions that you guys get on the site?
Oh gosh, I think it's everything from my mom doesn't want to, or dad doesn't want to quit driving. What should we do? My parent doesn't want to admit that there's a problem, or that they are having memory challenges or other physical challenges, and they don't want to potentially leave home, or even if they want to stay at home, they don't want to bring in care.
Yeah, or many times it's a case of, or mom and dad are getting so old that they really can't handle things themselves anymore, but I don't have a power of attorney. I don't know what to do. Is it too late? They have a little bit of dementia. What's going to happen there? There are so many questions out there. And luckily there's so many people in the group that different people and different providers are also part of the group that are able to give a little bit of advice and help people out.
How many people do you have on that site? And is there any kind of fee, or can people just join for free?
Yeah.
It's a free Facebook group. We have about 30, we're getting up close to 4,000 people from all around the country, and even a few from around the world. But because I think that, while state by state, some of the legal things might be a little bit different, Medicaid may operate just a little bit different. But when it comes to especially the emotional support, so many of those challenges are the same, whether it's, I had a really tough relationship with my parent growing up, and now that I'm trying to help take care of it, that brings all of those frustrations and difficulties back. Maybe it's the siblings are having a challenge getting along or deciding what's the best thing for our parents. And so I think that it's how do we bring people together? But yeah, we want to be able to keep that Facebook group free, and so that that anybody who needs it is available to help.
Yeah, because it's a great place to vent. And that's the biggest thing I think that I've seen that kind of surprised me in some ways, because I have Kim to be able to vent to at times if I run into something. But there's so many things that you run into as an adult child of an aging parent, especially one with Alzheimer's. A recent time when I went to visit my mom, the first thing that came out of her mouth was, "I don't recognize you." And the second thing that came out of her mouth was, "Are you my brother?" And then the third thing that came out of her mouth was, "Why are you here?" And that's not fun. I'm her only son. She's the only mom I've ever had. So, when something like that happens, it hurts. It's not fun to deal with, but this gives you a platform, a community to be able to express yourself and say how it feels to you and get the support that you need.
And sometimes makes you, and this is maybe isn't the right way to say, but it makes you feel like you're not crazy, that you're not that you don't think the feelings that I'm having, the guilt that I'm feeling, the love I'm feeling. I mean, all of those, the gamut of emotions that you realize that that's normal and that other people are having those same experiences too.
Thank you so much for setting this up because I think this is a wonderful resource for so many people that have older parents that are going through this or perhaps just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. In fact, if you were reaching out right now and you knew that someone just had their older parent diagnosed with Alzheimer's, is there a top 3 checklist that you would tell somebody, or top 5 checklists that you would tell them right now, here's what you have to do in order to just kind of, you got the diagnosis, here are the 3 to 5 things you need to do right now? What would you tell them?
I'd say, depending on how far along they are, make sure you've got all your legal documentation in place, because once they progress to a point where they're not competent to be able to make decisions and you don't already have that power of attorney and some of that other legal documents in place, it's too late.
Yeah.
So making sure you have as much of that that you can.
Figure things out about housing. As far as what were their wishes or what are their wishes? Do they want to stay in their home? Can they afford to go to memory care or assisted living or independent living? What's the situation with housing to make things easier there?
And then I think educating yourself just as what to expect, because Alzheimer's or other dementias are not necessarily, it's not an overnight thing generally. And so there's going to be time to be able to prepare a little bit and know what to expect and be able to find those people that can support you as you're going along the way. Mike has a friend whose parent is one stage ahead. And so he's been a great resource for Mike to be able to kind of know what to know what's coming next. And, within our group, we have so many people. I think dementia in general, which is, as we've learned, is just one type. Alzheimer's is just one type of dementia. But the most common type is that there's, no matter what the physical or mental or cognitive challenge is, we all need that support.
Yeah.
Well, Kim and Mike Barnes, we appreciate you and we appreciate everything that you're doing. ParentingAgingParents.com. Thanks so very much for not only creating this site, this online resource for everyone, but also giving some tips and some friendly reminders for everyone out there that's going through that. God bless you both. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
People need options. You need the option to excel, the chance to get beyond where you are, to refresh your skills and leap into the future. You need the option to be local, the possibility of growth where your roots are, while taking care of you and your loved ones. You need the option of a helping hand, the occasion to talk to someone who can help you take yourself to the next level. Go far, close to home. Northwest Mississippi Community College.
Hi, folks, Bob Burke of the Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Thinking about buying a new or used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory rebates up to $1,000 and interest rates low as 2.9. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just the way you're doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolfchase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Thanks to Sunrise.
Okay, May is National Trauma Awareness Month, and this year at Regional One Health, the focus is on roadway safety is no accident. That's the theme, roadway safety, no accident. And there are plenty of, I guess you could say, overly enthusiastic drivers on I-240. That is putting it a very nice way. It might be a good time to just kind of remind people about some good safety measures, some friendly reminders about road safety tips and ways you should be driving, dealing with distracted driving, maybe drowsiness driving, speeding, that sort of thing. Because across the country, believe it or not, there is a rise in motor vehicle related injuries and deaths. Let's bring in Josh Dougal. He's with the trauma department there, the Elvis Presley Trauma Center at Regional One Health. He's the program manager. And Josh, good morning to you. I want to start with some of the issues that you see each and every day at Regional One. Tell me about some of those significant injuries that are treated there when it comes to road safety. Good morning.
Absolutely. Good morning to you. Thank you for allowing us to talk about the roadway safety as one of the initiatives that we need to be really focusing on. So as you all may know or may not know, Regional 1 and the Elvis Presley Trauma Center is the only trauma center in 150 miles in every direction. So we truly care for the entire community here when at their most hour of need following a traumatic injury. Car accidents represent about a third of the total number of patients that come through here. So over 2,100 people are treated for car accidents at our trauma center, and most of them are quite severe.
Okay, 21 different, 21 car accidents. Is that in a given month or?
No, 2,100 in a year. So in 2022.
Gotcha.
So yes, over 2,000 patients coming here.
Wow. That okay. My understanding is that one of the main reasons why there are so many car crashes is that people are distracted inside their car, whether it's the radio or essentially the computers, the dashboard, or just the phone. I mean, gosh. It drives me nuts when I'm driving at night or early in the morning and the sun isn't out yet, and I see the glow of the phone in people's face while they're driving. How bad is distracted driving from your perspective, Josh?
Yeah, we know that distracted driving absolutely increases the rate of car accidents. As you just said, there is literally a computer that sits inside of your car, and people seem to take precedence over making sure that they're logged in or plugged in or have their playlists up or their music set before they ever even really start paying attention as to where they're driving. And one of the things they're key that they're forgetting is wearing their seatbelt. So taking a look at our information from our trauma center here, about 50% of people that come into our trauma center involved in a car accident aren't wearing their seatbelt. And what that does to you is it doubles the chance of you actually dying from your injuries while you're at our trauma center. And that's not even talking about the people that may pass away at the car wreck scene before they ever even arrive to us. So it's huge to be thinking about reducing the ways that you're being distracted by driving. And then also remember those key fundamentals of just buckling up is so important.
So, I mean, when I'm driving on 240, so after this is done, I'm going to be going on 240 there, and the weaving in and out of some of these cars that are going at a high rate of speed, I mean, what's the best way to just kind of guard against some of these overly enthusiastic drivers, let's just say?
Well, I love the way that you put that, always trying to put a smile on the driving habits of some of our colleagues out on the road. But I think the most important thing that we can do is to be active drivers and use defensive driving techniques. So again, making sure that you're distracted as little as possible, always trying to do what you can to anticipate what somebody else may be doing in front of you. Remembering back from whenever we all took our driver's test and they talked about appropriate following distances in front of the car that is in front of us, and making sure that you're ready for an evasive maneuver. Again, hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel is always important. Making sure that you're wearing appropriate shoes so that you can control your accelerator and gas pedal and brake pedal are all really great tips.
Okay, fantastic. And when it comes to drowsy driving, because we also see that, and I work a very different schedule. I come in early in the mornings at like 4 o'clock, and then I leave at about noon time. That kind of schedule, you see all kinds of different people with drowsy driving. How much of an issue is that?
Yeah, it's really hard to actually put a direct number on it, but we do see that our car accidents do seem to peak not only late at night, but early in the morning. We know that the culture of the United States is that for people to work, and to not really take care of themselves and always kind of relying on things to keep themselves awake, such as caffeine or loud music, which again doesn't really pay off whenever we're thinking about driving and making sure that we're actually alert and able to avoid those accidents.
Okay, so anything else? I mean, you've talked about making sure you're buckled in, be defensive when it comes to these overly aggressive drivers, trying to stay alert as much as possible when you're behind the wheel. What else can we say that you haven't touched on, Josh?
Yeah, I would say one of the things that really is key is modeling good behaviors. So as we are all adults in our cars, we're driving around, if anything that we can do to model good behaviors to our younger drivers. So if our kids see us as their parents wearing our seatbelts and staying off of our phone and lessening the chance of having that distraction and also being properly restrained, that'll really pay off to our children who are going to eventually become the drivers. And then they'll be on the road with us, hopefully better prepared than we were as their adults.
Absolutely. Josh, is there any place you would recommend? We have thousands of people that join us here on the Digital Desk each and every day. Any place you'd recommend where people can go online, just kind of check out some of these?
Absolutely, yes. I will send you the link, but the National Highway Traffic Safety Alliance is a fantastic place to look for up-to-date information about what is happening in our state and across the country with rules and regulations regarding car safety. Also, just touch on one more thing. Remember to continue to wear your helmet as your motorcycle riders are out and about, and also keeping an eye out for them as you're changing lanes to make sure that you don't run into them and cause another accident.
Good advice. Josh Dougal, Trauma Program Manager at Elvis Presley Trauma Center at Regional One Health. Josh, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for the tips.
Thanks for having me. Have a great day and wear your seatbelt.
Here's a life hack. While you're physically at work, you can be mentally somewhere else entirely. So grab a refreshing summer edition Red Bull slush and imagine you're at the pool or literally anywhere else but at work. Sonic Red Bull Summer Edition slush. Sonic.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose the Summer Splash Pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
Imagine a place where a cool summer breeze blows and burgers have that smoky char-grilled flavor. And also the breeze is your car's air conditioner because you're eating at Sonic. New Sonic Griller.
Amanda Hansen back here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk. And this morning we want to talk about shingles. A lot of times I think people believe that this happens in older people, but if you didn't know, it can happen in younger people too. And so joining us now to talk more about this is Dr. Sarah Lynn Walters with Regional One Health. Good morning, doctor. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be talking with you because I think this is such an interesting topic. And one reason why, my sister, she's in her early 30s, recently had the shingles, and she was like, I had no idea at this age that I could get that sort of thing. So I felt like this is such a great topic to talk about a little bit more. So I guess first off, let's just talk about what shingles is.
Okay, so shingles is actually what we refer to as herpes zoster. And so this is an infection that you can get from having a prior infection with chickenpox. It comes from the same virus. And so when you had chickenpox, that virus remained in your body, but it remained dormant or inactive. And for various reasons later in life, then you reactivate that virus and it causes shingles, which is a rash similar to chickenpox, but it's in one area of your body on one side that causes the same blistering, rash, and burning that you may have when you had chickenpox in the past.
Are there things that can trigger shingles in individuals, such as stress, something like that?
It's a theory that stress may induce shingles. One of the things that we do know is that shingles reactivate when your body's immune system is at its lowest. And that's why we tend to hear, you don't get shingles until you're older, because when you're a young child or when you're an older adult or past the age of 65, your immune system starts to weaken. And so now that we're seeing it in people that are under the age of 50, there is some concerns about, multifactorially, whether, we have younger people that are sicker, and so they have some reduced immune system, or other stressors that cause your immune system to be lower at that time, including COVID that we just went through the pandemic.
That's a good point with COVID. Who's most at risk, though? We've kind of touched on, a lot of times people see this in older people. Are those the ones that are most at risk?
So those and anyone who has a weakened immune system. So about 1 in 3 of us will get shingles in our lifetime. And the ones who tend to be the most at risk are people who are over 50. And that's why the vaccines are recommended for that age group. And then anyone that has any type of immunity or weakened immunity. So from various diseases, like say HIV, if that was uncontrolled, children that have, immune disorders, or even adults with cancers and things like that, that may have weakened immunity.
It makes sense. Thank goodness there's the chickenpox shot that's now available. They didn't have that when I was a kid, and I remember my mom would take me around kids that had the chickenpox so I would get it at a young age. So I guess let's talk about some of the signs, symptoms that people need to look out for, and maybe would alert them that maybe this is what they have.
So the first thing that people tend to feel is like a burning, almost like an internal itch in an area of their body. It can be the trunk of your body. It can be on an arm, a leg, or a face. And so that's the first thing you started feeling without seeing the rash. About 5 to 7 days into that is when you start seeing kind of the fluid-filled rash that we come so comfortable with for chickenpox. And, of course, chickenpox is not as common. So there may be some people who've never actually seen the blistering rash, but it then blisters up in that same area, one side of your body, and over time, then that crusts over like you would have with a typical chickenpox. Some people may end up having fevers associated with it, or abdominal pain, but the primary problem is the rash on one side of your body.
My sister, she immediately was feeling, she felt like it was that nerve pain. I mean, she said it was horrible. She ended up, she's not one that would just go into the emergency room. She ended up in the emergency room wanting to know what was going on. And then, of course, a few days later, that's when that rash appeared, and it became evident that that's what it was. But at first, it was kind of like, what is this? And she's a nurse, which is interesting enough. But I know we touched on this some, but younger people, why is it, you think, that more younger people are getting shingles like this? I know we mentioned the stress. Is that kind of, and just the weakened immune system, is that kind of really what it's all about?
There's a couple different theories. And actually, if you look at the data, it shows that, as time has been going on, younger people are having higher rates of shingles than people over 50. They're starting to plateau a little bit. One of the major thought process is that if you were born before 1980, just like you talked about with your mom, everyone kind of got shingles naturally, or chickenpox, naturally. And so that chickenpox immunity they're feeling may be a little stronger than the vaccines we're now getting. And so you have kind of younger persons who, don't remember getting chickenpox, or may not have the vaccine early enough. And then that causes a weaker immunity than if you had chickenpox when you were for the older population. And so because of that, they feel that, it doesn't protect you as well. And so that reactivation is quicker. There's also some theories about the chickenpox vaccine that you used to get in the past was a live vaccine. And so that may have induced kind of that reactivation.
This is just so interesting to me, just because my sister was personally affected by this. Let's talk a little bit more about shingles itself. How long does it last? How contagious is it to pass along to other people?
Okay. So like we discussed, that burning, nerve pain, itching that you may feel, that usually is about the first 5 days. And around that time, you are not contagious. You aren't contagious until you have those blistering rashes that are starting to open. And so that's usually in that first 7 to 10 days is when you start seeing that blistering rash. Over time, that crusts over. So once it's crusted, again, you're no longer contagious. And overall, the whole exposure can last for about 2 to 4 weeks in terms of getting the burning, getting the rash, having the rash kind of clear up and everything resolve. It can take about 2 to 4 weeks. Unlike chickenpox, it is only contagious when you touch the fluid from the blister and rash. So for most people, they can just cover up that rash and make sure that they wash their hands pretty well and not interact with it. And in that situation, you won't be contagious to others.
So does it help to get shingles early?
It does not, because there is an opportunity that you can get it a second time. Most people only get it once in their lifetime, but conceivably you get it earlier, then you have that chance of, as you get older and your immunity weakens again, to be able to get it a second time.
I was going to ask you, is it something that you can get again? And so you answered that question for me, which, I hope I don't end up with it at some point. But after experiencing what happened with my sister, I'm just like, wow. What about treatment? Does treatment depend? Does it vary from person to person on what works to help with either the nerve pain, the rash? How is it treated? So when you do know or have, just like your sister, have a inkling that, there's a rash or something is going on, you want to get treated with antiviral medication. So you have acyclovir or valacyclovir. Those are antivirals that you want to give within the first 48 or 72 hours. And that reduces not only the duration of the rash and the symptoms, but it reduces your chance of having what we call post-herpetic neuralgia, which is a complication that you can get after shingles, where that burning and that pain in that area actually never goes away. I've heard about that. I've actually done stories with people that have it's just debilitating and awful. What about the vaccine? We've talked about the vaccine some. Who should get it? When should they get it? Tell us more.
So for the shingles vaccine, it's recommended for patients or persons over the age of 50, and it's a 2-shot vaccine. Now, if you have a weakened immune system, or say someone that has, cancer, and we know that's going on, then your provider, your physician can order for you to get the vaccine earlier than the age of 50. It's available, however, it's an expensive vaccine. So if you want to go based on recommendations, then those would be the persons that are more likely to have that shingles is age 50 and above.
With more younger people seeing shingles, do you think eventually that might be altered a little bit on the age?
It could be, because initially it was actually 65 and above. And so they reduced it to 50. And like we talked about, the data is showing that, patients or persons over 65 and 70, the number of persons getting shingles have kind of plateaued. So it's not getting any higher. But the numbers that are going up are mostly in the people in, the 40 to 50 range. And of course, the younger ones are starting to go up. So I think if that trend continues, you might see the recommendation continue to drop.
Well, Dr. Walters, this interview has been so interesting to me. Is there anything else that you want to mention before we let you go?
In addition to getting the shingles vaccine, which is for over 50, get your chickenpox vaccine. So that is one of the things that will help kind of reduce the chances of you having that reactivation. So they kind of go hand in hand, since they're the same virus. It's just at different presentations.
Well, good deal. Well, Dr. Walters, I really appreciate your time, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose the Summer Splash Pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
AM Action News 5 meteorologist Spencer Denton. As we go through the day and the rest of this week, we're looking for pretty warm conditions, although it's going to be mostly dry. There could be a passing downpour parts of northeast Mississippi later this afternoon. There's an area of low pressure hanging out down toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what's going to keep bringing in or pulling in a little bit of moisture today and tomorrow. But again, most areas stay on the dry side. This is not going to be a big rain chance at all. And then no sign of any major cold front, any area of low pressure, really any sign of extreme heat either. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Look at those temperatures, low to mid 80s. Again, if we see a passing downpour, it would be along Highway 72, maybe up toward Pickwick Lake, the Tennessee River area, back toward maybe Bolivar or Selmer, Tennessee. But most areas will stay dry for the rest of us. And then as we go into tomorrow, pretty dry to start off the day on your Tuesday. And then I think anyone could see a passing shower or storm in the afternoon or evening hours. So this would be 3 to about 6 or 8 p.m. We could see one or two of those in any spot. So tomorrow's probably the highest rain chance, although it's still pretty low. The rest of the week into Memorial Day weekend is looking high and dry. Here's a look at the forecast for today. 83 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10. Keep that 20% chance in, mainly for northeast Mississippi. Highs around 82 in Ripley, Tennessee today, 82 in Dyersburg, 83 in Somerville, 83 in Bolivar. Down to the south, a little bit warmer. Tunica, Marks, maybe Clarksdale in the mid 80s. And then as we go into eastern Arkansas, I think around 82 and Wynne, 83 in Forest City and in Mariana as well. Check out the 7-day temperature trend because I wanted to show you this. Mid 80s come back as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Then a weak front comes through. That's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, and it stays relatively pleasant as far as humidity levels are concerned for most of the week. Then by the weekend, we start to heat up, and by early next week, we could be hitting 90 degrees in some areas of the Mid-South. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week on the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. But again, as we head into the weekend, and a lot of folks have big plans, maybe big lake plans, hanging out at friend's house. It is going to be warm, but nothing too extreme, not too humid out there, and very comfortable at night. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, some areas in the upper 50s. Our biggest chance for a shot of a shower or storm, again, comes tomorrow afternoon. It's only a 1 in 3 chance for most areas. We'll keep you advised throughout the week.
Won't you go?
No one deserves to live like this. When it's time for a plumber, you deserve the best. Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
I want to show you the latest edition of the Memphis Flyer on newsstands right now, and the cover story, it rings true for so many people, especially us that cover Memphis and the Mid-South. What is wrong with the MPD? What is wrong with the Memphis Police Department? And it is a deep dive into this topic, and it goes through several different layers. I want to bring in the author of this article with us on the digital desk, Chris McCoy, joining us now. And Chris, it's been a while. I hope you're doing well. And tell me about the reasons why you did a deep dive on this very issue.
Well, thanks for having me. You can see what I've been doing since I haven't been on the show for a little while. I've been working on this story. And that's one of the things that I love about writing for the Memphis Flyers, that we get a lot of room to write and to research stuff like this. So this really started off as I wanted to follow up on the police reform movement that had been around for a while, but gotten really seriously re-energized since the Tyree Nichols case. So I wanted to follow up on that, and I knew that that the movement had managed to pass some ordinances in City Council. So I started off talking to several of those and several of those people, and then expanded outward from there. And the lead in my story, which was the most shocking thing that I found out that I didn't know, was about the clearance rate Now, a clearance rate is the measurement that the FBI uses to evaluate law enforcement, police departments like this. And that is the number of crimes that are reported versus the number of arrests that are made for those crimes. And the national average of that clearance rate for all crimes is around 54%. So 54% nationally of the crimes that get reported are followed up by an arrest. We don't know what happens after the arrest or whatever, but that's the important part for this part. In Memphis, the Memphis Police Department, as of 2021, and these are the numbers from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, their overall clearance rate is 22%. That's less than half the national average. For murder, the clearance rate was 38%. For theft from motor vehicles, the clearance rate was 3%. And for rape, the clearance rate was 17.8%. And that is, of the 332 rapes that were reported to the Memphis Police Department in 2021, 59 of them were solved.
Very
and this is not just a meaningless
numbers.
statistic.
Sorry, Chris.
These are not good numbers.
Yeah, no, very disturbing. I mean, I read your article and I was fascinated by the data and the analytics. By the way, I appreciate that, being an analytical guy and looking at the clearance rate. And here's my thing. I can remember, along with you probably, when the first 48 was in Memphis about a decade or so ago, there was a lot of talk about how good our detectives were and how good our police department was in solving crimes, specifically homicides and murders. And I'm trying to figure out what happened in the decade since, because now we went from being way above average to now being, not even half, Chris. That is awful.
Mm-hmm. It's awful. Well, clearance rates have generally been going down nationwide since the late 50s, early 60s. And that they particularly accelerated during the war on drugs era, the downward slope of this, during the war on drugs era, when the emphasis in police training and police work was not going out and solving crimes so much as clearing corners and trying to, rounding up drug dealers and stuff like that. So they were more focused on that and less focused on, doing things like investigation, like we see on TV, right? Like you would see on the first 48. I think one thing that has been very difficult in the last decade, but not just in the last decade, in the last 20, 30 years, is people don't trust the police. The community does not trust the police department as much as it used to. And that's a big thing, because the police can't depend on tips to help solve crime. They can't depend on witnesses showing up if the witnesses don't trust the police. And a big knock on the trust of police, especially in the last year, has been the Tyre Nichols killing. And that's been extremely difficult for everyone. And it's become something of what they call a doom loop, not a virtuous cycle. Where the public trusts the police less, and the police make fewer arrests, and then the public trusts the police less for that. And the attempts to stop crime, to stop this doom loop, have a lot of times have been by sending out teams of cops to get tough on crime. That's what we saw in the Scorpion unit. For example. Yeah. And DA Steve Mulroy, who's one of the people that I talked to for this, when I asked him, what do you think happened with the Nichols case? He basically said that there was this supposedly elite crime unit, the Scorpion unit, who went out and started doing random traffic stops in order to pad their numbers, to make it look better. And they pulled over the wrong guy, and he was innocent, and things just got way, way out of hand. And as he said, the thing that comes up over and over in these conversations, is culture, that the police in the last few years, I think especially since in the War on Terror era, since 2001 or so, they have come to, a lot of police have come to view the public as the citizens who they're supposed to be protecting, as an enemy force. And they are here to occupy and pacify this community, when really a policeman should think of themselves as a guardian, not a soldier fighting, which is so much of the language that we use right now, but a guardian.
Yeah.
And that change in attitude has really hurt the relationship between the police and the community. So it goes down. It's like I said, it's a doom loop. It's a downward spiral.
Chris McCoy joining us now to talk. From the Memphis Flyer, the cover story here, he wrote, what's wrong with the MPD? We're having this discussion. It is the cover story that you can find on newsstands right now, the Memphis Flyer. You can also go to memphisflyer.com. I thought it was interesting, Chris, you brought up the last three prominent cases that really put a black eye on Memphis city as a whole. And when you talk with people who just love the city and the region as we do, seeing these type of cases just it breaks your heart. Yeah, the Eliza Fletcher case, Ezekiel Kelly, and Tyree Nichols. It really accentuates the negatives when we know that there are so many positives in this city. But what about solutions? How do we get to the solutions aspect? Because that was part of your article as well.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. And a lot of people said the same thing, which is there's not a magic bullet. We need to change the culture of the police department to make them think more like guardians and less like warriors. We need to address poverty in this city, which is, you could have said that sentence anytime in the last 100 years, and it would still be accurate. If people feel like, young people especially, feel like they have hope, feel like they have a future in this community, who can see examples of other people succeeding that don't involve crime or whatever, then they will be less likely to turn to life on the street. The solution is not to flood low-income and black neighborhoods with more police who have the warrior mentality, because we've tried that. We've been trying that, and it hasn't been working. It's not working. I mean, you can just look around and see that it's not working. So a lot of people, and look, these are big problems, okay? These problems are bigger than the Memphis Police Department. They're bigger than Memphis, okay? And several people who I spoke to took pains to say that this, what we're saying here is not every individual Memphis policeman, police person is bad at their job. They're saying that they are not being given the training and they're not being given the opportunity to do the job because of the philosophy behind policing currently. So we've got to rethink the entire situation. And, the police budget is about 38% of the city budget right now. And the people who say we need to spend more, a lot of people will say we need to spend more. We need to hire more police. We're already spending a lot of money on this, and we're not getting our money's worth as it is. So maybe we need to think that first, right? Like I said, these are big, complicated questions, and I feel very privileged that I am able to take the time to do the research and talk to these people about the issue and lay it out for people, especially because we have a mayor's race coming up here. And this is, obviously it's issue number one, I think, for everybody.
For sure. A1. Absolutely. And Chris, if I haven't said it already, I commend you for writing this, taking the time to thoroughly go over piece by piece. It's almost like you peel back the onion of layer on layer here. You know, something that comes up all the time, and I'm sure you talk about it with some folks. I got people coming up to me all the time talking about this issue and solutions and how did we get here. And one of the discussions, a lot of times, it'll center around Willie Harrington's last Memphis police director, Larry Godwin. And I think it was his last year, maybe 10, 12 years ago, where he had under 100 homicides for the calendar year. And when you think about that, compared to what we're dealing with now, where it's around 300 or so a year, and we had under 100 under Larry Godwin's last year as police director, it's astounding. It's like, how do we get back there? Because it wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. And you know what the number one difference between then and now was? Gun laws. There are a lot more guns on the street now because the Tennessee legislature repealed, they said that you don't have to have a permit to carry. So there, arguments that 10 years ago would have ended in a fist fight or some yelling now end in people shooting at each other because everybody has guns. And the huge spike in car break-ins is also related to that because the most of the people who are breaking into these cars, they're looking for guns in the glove compartment, guns that people have left in their car. The current police chief, C.J. Davis, her first day on the job, she got her gun stolen out of her car. Okay. So that's a big deal. And then once again, this is the problem that's bigger than Memphis. This is a part of the problem that has been imposed on us by the state. But all of these problems are huge. I noticed that there is a ordinance going in front of the city council to put a permitted to roll back some of those lax gun laws, at least in Memphis, at least in here. And we'll just see how that, and they're going to put that to voters. That's the plan for a referendum. And so we'll see if that can change. But the biggest difference in the murder rate, it comes down to there's just more guns out there.
Listen, Chris McCoy, we got to run, but always appreciate the discussion. Thank you so much. And again, you can read it on the pages of Memphis Flyer, memphisflyer.com. Have a good one.
Cutting out cable doesn't mean you have to cut out local news. Action News 5 makes it easy to keep up with what's happening in the 901 through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can watch breaking news and weather from anywhere we go live, like and comment on the stories that matter to you, and share your ideas directly with us. So tap in using your phone, tablet, or computer, making it easy to stay in the know in the 901. We're taking action for you. WMC Action News 5. Find us wherever you scroll.
Hi, I'm Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am officially vaccinated. I cannot wait to get back to spending time with my family and friends. I think people should do their research and make sure they get informed on the vaccine, and I definitely did that. I definitely looked up side effects, everything that I could find out, and I felt like it was still in my best interest to get the vaccine as well for anybody, really. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that.
Shelby County has some of the highest rates of new HIV infection all across the country, and it's this Shelby County community. Many of us are especially vulnerable. Awareness is so key when it comes to HIV awareness. And certainly it is an issue that has plagued Shelby County for so long. Let's bring in infectious disease doctor, a familiar face to many of us, Dr. Shirin Mazumdar, joining us on the digital desk. She was someone that we saw so often during the pandemic, and I'm sure she misses those interviews over and over and the same questions over and over again. Dr. Mazumdar, so great to see you. How have you been? Tell me what's going on and tell our viewers.
Oh, I'm doing great, Andrew. It's great to be back with you guys.
Good to have you with us. Okay, so we're talking HIV awareness and certainly HIV rates right now. Can you give us just briefly an update on Shelby County when it comes to HIV?
Yeah, so HIV is still an ongoing public health issue. We've got about 48 million people worldwide living with HIV, over 1 million people in the United States living with HIV. And here in Shelby County, we have over 7,000 people living with HIV. And according to the CDC, Memphis ranks 3rd in new HIV cases among individuals between the ages of 19 and 24. And we rank 8th in the nation overall for new HIV cases.
That is so disturbing. I would guess that this is kind of the same level where we've been at. There really hasn't been a decline or an increase, has there?
No, we're still seeing significant rates of HIV, and so we're really trying to promote HIV awareness through HIV testing, treatment, and also preventative options that we now have available to prevent HIV infection.
Let's talk about that, because I understand the preventable and the treatment options have evolved over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, so we do have something called PrEP, or HIV pre-exposure prophylaxis. And this refers to medication that people can take to reduce the risk of HIV infection. It's highly effective. It's about 99% effective in preventing HIV acquisition through sex. And it's really something that I think is underutilized. The CDC estimated in 2020 that only 25% of people that may have benefited from PrEP were actually taking it. And so it's something that we really want to let people know about because it's something that's very easy to do. PrEP consists of either an oral medication that can be taken once a day, and there's even an injectable long-acting medication that can be given every 2 months, and it's highly effective.
How can people get more information about this? Do they just call the health department? Do they go in person? Can they go online?
There's several different options to access PrEP. People can always talk to their physician and their healthcare team. The health department is also a great resource. And if individuals are uninsured, that should not discourage them from seeking out PrEP if they're a candidate. There are state and federal assistance programs. There's something called Ready, Set, PrEP, which can be accessed online, that is there to help ensure that uninsured individuals can also access PrEP.
What about the future of HIV vaccines? Tell me more about that.
So unfortunately, there is not currently an HIV vaccine available. And actually, this last Wednesday, we celebrated HIV Vaccine Awareness Day. And this is really a day to thank volunteers and researchers who are working together to find and develop a safe and effective HIV vaccine. It's been an area of interest for many years, but unfortunately, we do not currently have a available HIV vaccine, but I'm really hopeful that someday we will. And in the meantime, we have tools such as PrEP available to prevent HIV infection.
If someone just wants to bring awareness to the issue of HIV, new treatments, manageable treatments, what do you recommend they do?
Yeah, I think that if somebody wants to learn more, I think that we have some really great places here in Shelby County for people to seek more information. Physicians and healthcare teams are also always a great place to start. Also, we have different clinics and different departments, such as the health department, that are great places to seek information as well.
Dr. Shirin Mazumdar, it's so great to see you. I appreciate you coming on the digital desk. Feel free to come on the digital desk anytime there's an issue you'd like to talk about. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew.
Banking with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
Hey, did you hear the news? If not, catch up now with Action News 5's official YouTube channel. You can like, comment, and share the stories that matter to you. Meet the Action News 5 team and get a blast from the past in the Action News 5 vault. Top stories and special reports you may have missed or just want to watch again are added daily, so you can stay in the know with the 901. Visit youtube.com/Action News 5 and never miss out on the exciting things happening around you.
I'm Bobby Jones of Delta Medicare Benefits Group, the Mid-South's #1 trusted source for all things Medicare. At Delta Medicare Benefits Group, you work with local Mid-Southerners. There's no 800 number, no machines to talk to, just local Medicare experts. Together, we'll come up with the best Medicare plan that fits your individual needs. Call today for your free Medicare consultation at 460-7220 or stop by our office at 5050 Poplar Avenue.
Bank with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
When the Orion Free Concert Series is been announced, and look at those upcoming shows. They are already upon us here. May 28th, Sunset Symphony. June 1st, The Collection. June 3rd, Magic. 7:30 to 9 p.m. And it is always such a great time. Let's bring in to talk more about this concert series Cindy Cogbill from the Overton Park Shell, and she is joining us on the digital desk. Cindy, good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How are you today?
Doing well, thank you so much. So the Orion Free Concert Series at the Overton Park Shell, it already began this weekend, I understand, with Dreamfest. Tell me about it. How was it? And what are you looking forward to this spring and summer?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So we kicked off with the 3-day event with Dreamfest this past weekend. The weather shined on us. We were expecting some rain and we didn't get it. So it was a full turnout, multi-artist every day. We have between 6 and 10 acts, and turnout was absolutely wonderful. We couldn't ask for a better kickoff for the season. And so we're going to start even bigger this weekend. We actually have some surprise events coming in. We have the Bellevue Orchestra coming in Friday night from 7 to 9. That's going to do, it's called a Night at the Pops, and they're doing all orchestral movie scores. So that'll be really fun. And we're going to continue that through the holiday weekend with the Memphis Symphony Orchestra big bands. A couple of years ago, we had a great sponsor who came to us and said they really missed seeing the Memphis Sunset Symphony take place on Memorial Day weekend. And so they brought it back to the Shell. So every single year on the Sunday before Memorial Day, we're hosting the symphony. So we're excited about that. And then starting Thursday through Saturdays, we'll do free shows, 7:30 to 9 o'clock every single Thursday through Saturday, running through mid-July, and then picking up Labor Day weekend through October. Of course, sprinkling in a couple of fundraisers to help keep it free. June 3rd, we have Squirrel Nut Zippers, and July 8th, we also have Drew Holcomb returning to his home stage in Memphis, Tennessee.
So many different things happening here. So I just want to go through once again the concert series that you were just mentioning here. So we have this weekend is the holiday weekend. We got the Bellevue Pops concert. That's on Friday. That is right here. That's on Friday at the Overton Park Shell. It's free. It's at 7 o'clock. Night at the Pops. I love it here. You can get all kinds of different songs that everyone's familiar with, from Indiana Jones, The Lion King, Fantasia. Bring the whole family out. I love that. And then we have Sunset Symphony, right? That is May 28th. Also 7:30 at Overton Park Shell. And I have to say, Cindy, I'm one of those that really misses Sunset Symphony because I brought my kids downtown during Memphis in May when it was Sunset Symphony when they were really little. And it was so great and it was so nice. So I'm so happy to hear that it's coming back. That's wonderful news. I'm sure that I'm glad to hear I wasn't alone with that.
You weren't. I have to be honest, it's one of my favorite family traditions growing up in Memphis. And it's fun because I have kids now myself. And so the Shell, having been here, over oh my gosh, 15 years now, has become part of our family tradition. And so it's one of those things, starting it with what was a tradition for my family. And now we have our own tradition that we're going to the Shell every single night with the picnic, with friends we made in the park the year before, and continued relationships. It's just fun to see that trajectory taking place, right?
Yes.
We're creating new history.
I love it. I love it. So right now, let's talk about Shell Yeah and that concert series, because I know that that's something that people are going to be looking forward to.
So I'm so glad you asked, because people assume even though we're free, as you can imagine, it's not free to put on shows of this caliber. We have world-class production, light, sound, great security, an amazing operations team. And the cost to do a free show is about $14,000 to $16,000. So those add up. We're so grateful for our donations and for our sponsors, but our benefit series is really an integral part in paying for those shows. And so we just finished one with Wendy Moten. We have another one coming up June 2nd with Squirrel Nut Zippers. General admissions, you can sit anywhere on the lawn for $35. You can buy those tickets at overtonparkshell.org, at Ticketmaster, or if you'd like to buy them in person, we have a pop-up box office this Thursday all day long in the Crosstown Concourse in the lobby. If you want to do an old-fashioned box office where you don't have to pay ticketing fees. You also have two more options for Shell Yeah concerts coming up. We have July 8th, we have Juru, Holcomb and the Neighbors, and October 7th, we have the Drive-By Truckers.
Cindy, I know the Squirrel Nut Zippers, and they have that almost like a swinger music, big band, you know, that kind of stuff. Tell me more about them.
Okay, so Squirrel Nut Zippers, it's always so much fun to talk about our music. I don't know if you guys are familiar with pop, ska, big band music, but it's a great opportunity to get up and get dancing. I mean, to me, that's the perfect start, ingenue into the summer. Jimbo Mathis actually is from Memphis, but this is a New Orleans-based band. There's over 10 to 15 of them on stage. They come in full costume, full energy, horn section, strings, drums. So there's never a minute that you're not going to be in a high energy type environment. So just like I said, a great way to kick off the summer.
I agree. And these concerts do really well. I mean, they're well attended, aren't they?
They are. So the fun thing about the fundraisers is, I will let you know, we limit them to 2,500 people because we want that user experience to be the best it possibly can be. There's plenty of room for everyone. There's great food trucks, great merchandise for sale. Everything that comes into that night supports the Shell. So the idea is we want people to come and just be as comfortable and happy as they can be. But there are only 2,500 tickets, so you definitely want to get them ahead of time.
Okay, Cindy, I mean, it sounds like you have a very ambitious late spring and summer and fall. I mean, this is fantastic. Is there anything else you want us to mention before we let you go?
I would love if you guys have an opportunity to look at our website, overtonparkshell.org. We've done a lot of cool things. We're known for our music, but we've also added a health and wellness series, so you can do workout classes at the Shell for free almost every day. That's available on our website. We're also building a mobile stage to take out into the communities, so you can look at that on our website. It's called Shell on Wheels. But there's so many projects and activities. I hope I get an opportunity to tell you about it all summer long when we see you on the lawn.
Absolutely. One more thing, when people come to these concerts, are there things that they should not bring, maybe things that they should bring? Let's go over that.
That's a great question. Bring your dancing shoes, bring a great attitude and a smile. I highly endorse bringing a blanket or chairs, sunscreen, anything you would want to hang out on a lawn and have a picnic. For the free shows, we do have food trucks. We also have a beautiful Shell bar with cocktails and with non-alcoholic options and mem pops. But for our paid shows, we ask that you don't bring food in. Of course, free shows, you can bring whatever you want. Bring a picnic, bring your dog, bring your best attitude. For paid shows, we ask that you leave your sweet pets at home, just for the fact that it is a paid show, and that you leave your picnics, because we are trying to do fundraising. But other than that, it's all listed on the website. Most of all, bring good listening ears.
Awesome, Signe Cogbill. We really appreciate you. Best of luck on the upcoming season. Thanks for putting this all together. I mean, amazing entertainment at the Overton Park Shell. Great stuff. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here. Okay, so now let's talk about those rooftop parties that have been going on for decades in Memphis. In fact, downtown Memphis, that's where those rooftop parties are. It's certainly a ton of fun. In fact, Kim Clark took us to the top of one in the 5-star story she did about the Peabody Rooftop Party.
Party season has begun again, high atop the Peabody Hotel in the heart of downtown Memphis. These rooftop soirees have a long history.
84 years we have been having parties on the rooftop of the Peabody Hotel.
According to Kelly Brock, the hotel's director of marketing and communications, the hotel's rooftop parties began in 1939 after the east end of the roof was enclosed, becoming the Skyway Ballroom.
And that was when they really started having rooftop parties out on the roof, as well as parties in here in the wintertime and during the rain. And it was the place to be for big bands and for swing dancers. All of the big national acts, the touring acts, performed here for sometimes weeks at a time. You had the Andrews Sisters and Lawrence Welk. You had Ozzie and Harriet, Tommy Dorsey's band, and George Hamilton.
Yes, that George Hamilton, father to actor George Hamilton Jr., who spent a lot of time performing on the hotel's roof.
And George Hamilton Jr. was actually born here in Memphis and spent weeks as a child growing up here at the hotel, watching his father perform here in the Skyway Ballroom and watching the ducks in the lobby.
The hotel's Sunset Serenades, as they were called back then, were also an important part of the entertainment industry as a whole.
And this ballroom and the rooftop were one of the only 3 live recording sites for CBS Radio at the time. So you would hear broadcasts throughout the nation, live from atop the Peabody Hotel.
The Sunset Serenades ended briefly in 1975 when the hotel closed, but started up again in 1981 after the hotel reopened.
And eventually we renamed them as Peabody Rooftop Parties, and they've been going on ever since, and they are as popular as ever.
Though the fashions, music, and diversity of attendees are different now than when it all began, some things remain the same.
We still have live music and a DJ.
Skyway Ballroom also intentionally maintained to appear as it did back in 1939, from the Lawrence Welk-inspired carpet, note the bubbles, to the lighting.
You still have the pink neon lighting that you had. It's very Art Deco style at the time.
As Brock told us, the Peabody Rooftop is still one of the best places in town to sit and have a drink with friends and watch the sunset over the Mississippi River. Or possibly make a love match like so many before.
There's fantastic stories from folks that came here in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, and then there's people still doing the same thing today, coming up here with their friends, and maybe they meet their future husband or their future wife. And it's stories like that that are just, that's the heart of the Peabody.
The Peabody Rooftop Parties, still going strong and welcoming all who attend, while making lifelong memories and connections. In downtown Memphis, Kim Clark, Action News 5.
People need options. You need the option to excel, the chance to get beyond where you are, to refresh your skills and leap into the future. You need the option to be local, the possibility of growth where your roots are, while taking care of you and your loved ones. You need the option of a helping hand. The occasion to talk to someone who can help you take yourself to the next level. Go far, close to home. Northwest Mississippi Community College.
Hi, folks, Bob Burke of the Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Thinking about buying a new or used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory rebates up to $1,000 and interest rates low as 2.9. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just the way you're doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolfchase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Thanks to Sunrise.
AM Action News 5 meteorologist Spencer Denton. As we go through the day and the rest of this week, we're looking for pretty warm conditions, although it's going to be mostly dry. There could be a passing downpour parts of northeast Mississippi later this afternoon. There's an area of low pressure hanging out down toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what's going to keep bringing in or pulling in a little bit of moisture today and tomorrow. But again, most areas stay on the dry side. This is not going to be a big rain chance at all. And then no sign of any major cold front, any area of low pressure, really any sign of extreme heat either. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Look at those temperatures, low to mid 80s. Again, if we see a passing downpour, it would be along Highway 72, maybe up toward Pickwick Lake, the Tennessee River area, back toward maybe Bolivar or Selmer, Tennessee. But most areas will stay dry for the rest of us. And then as we go into tomorrow, pretty dry to start off the day on your Tuesday. And then I think anyone could see a passing shower or storm in the afternoon or evening hours. So this would be 3 to about 6 or 8 p.m. We could see one or two of those in any spot. So tomorrow's probably the highest rain chance, although it's still pretty low. The rest of the week into Memorial Day weekend is looking high and dry. Here's a look at the forecast for today. 83 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10. Keep that 20% chance in, mainly for northeast Mississippi. Highs around 82 in Ripley, Tennessee today, 82 in Dyersburg, 83 in Somerville, 83 in Bolivar. Down to the south, a little bit warmer. Tunica, Marks, maybe Clarksdale in the mid 80s. And then as we go into eastern Arkansas, I think around 82 and Wynne, 83 in Forest City and in Mariana as well. Check out the 7-day temperature trend because I wanted to show you this. Mid 80s come back as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Then a weak front comes through. That's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, and it stays relatively pleasant as far as humidity levels are concerned for most of the week. Then by the weekend, we start to heat up, and by early next week, we could be hitting 90 degrees in some areas of the Mid-South. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week on the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. But again, as we head into the weekend, and a lot of folks have big plans, maybe big lake plans, hanging out at friend's house. It is going to be warm, but nothing too extreme, not too humid out there, and very comfortable at night. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, some areas in the upper 50s. Our biggest chance for a shot of a shower or storm, again, comes tomorrow afternoon. It's only a 1 in 3 chance for most areas. We'll keep you advised throughout the week.
Hey, I'm Brian Reed with Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And in the dog days of summer, a dirty air conditioner can leave you in the doghouse. Good news, it's tune-up time at Best Care. For $69, we'll keep you out of trouble. Let us wash away the dirt and grime of winter from your air conditioner as part of our 24-point inspection for only $69. And we'll also include a leak check at no charge. Call us today and ask about our early bird special, and we'll perform your tune-up for only $57. And when it comes to your comfort, you deserve the best.
Best Care Home. Check out that cover. Memphis Magazine this month, May edition, beautiful. Look at that. That reminds me of late spring, some summer, local adventures, and someone that's been taking some local adventures and posting it on social media, Anna Traverse Vogel, joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. I love the cover, and I love talking about all kinds of different adventures across Memphis and the Mid-South.
Yeah, so we've got a cover story focus on what we're calling local adventures. We've sometimes called this staycation, but you know, I feel like local adventures really sums it up more in terms of being able to get out of your house, getting into the world, and really exploring and trying on some new activities. So as as you can see on the cover, one of the things that we went out and did so that we could report back to our readers is we went canoeing on the Mississippi River. So there's a local guide named Matthew Burdine who has been taking folks out in these really impressive canoes, which sounded a little bit unwise to me at first, but I have to say, once I got out there, I absolutely had a blast. I actually ended up going out twice because it was just so much fun and such a unique way to see our city. So what you see on the cover is actually a group of people in a canoe, and that is the Mississippi River, not some placid lake. So it's really quite an experience, but highly, highly recommend.
So I'm looking at that picture, Anna. That seems like a lot of people in a canoe. You're not in there, is there?
No, so that's actually a different group, and that's a photo that Matthew allowed us to use. But our canoes that we went out on with him were just as long, and he has these really impressive canoes that have really large hulls, and like they're just very, very sturdy. I think maybe seaworthy type of canoes. I'm not an expert, but you feel a lot more secure in this canoe. And of course, so much of it is that Matthew is an experienced guide. He used to take people out on the Colorado River and, just really knows what he's doing. So even though a small part of me, having grown up in Memphis and having this healthy respect, shall we say, for the river, I thought I was going to be petrified. As soon as we actually got out there, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I had such a good time. It was almost like giddy making.
Well, you sold it well in your social media post talking about it. I'm totally sold on it. And being an Eagle Scout myself and gone canoeing plenty of times, not only just with me, but also with my son, who's also an Eagle Scout. I love the outdoors, and I love all kinds of different things, including canoeing. So I'm really interested to read it and
I grew up canoeing on, smaller rivers and lakes. So, the motion of the paddle feels very familiar, but it just would never have occurred to me to go canoeing on our river here. So it really did sort of reintroduce me to my own hometown. And, what Matthew talks about is like some places have a vertically grand world, like mountains or the Grand Canyon or what have you, but our part of the country, the Delta, has a horizontally grand aspect to it. And so I thought that was a really unique way of seeing where we've been living all this time.
Yeah, I that would be ambitious to canoe the Mississippi River. I'm with you, though. I would definitely.
He's actually done the whole thing.
That is intense.
So a few years ago, apparently he canoed all of it. I don't know that I'm up for that just yet.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right, so Anna, tell us more about the magazine, because we got the adventure pages here. What else?
Yeah, absolutely. So also in our local adventure section, we didn't just go canoeing. We also sent our writers out to do all sorts of fun stuff. So Frank went out and did some rock climbing at Memphis Rocks in Soulsville. We went out to some listening rooms, over to the Botanic Gardens, a baseball game at AutoZone Park, just all sorts of different things that you can do to get active in Memphis this spring and summer. And then we also have a story in this issue about pet rescue. So, we talk to people who are doing several different kinds of pet rescue. All of my animals are rescue pets who have come to me one way or another, but we just sort of compiled different groups who are involved in local animal rescue. One that sometimes transports animals on on planes, a woman who's very active on TikTok, but uses that as a platform to publicize the animals that she rescues, a woman who actually uses leftover copies of our sister publication, the Memphis Flyer, in kitten rescue. So, they say print is dead. But
I love it. I love it. Now, I do have a question, Anna. The artist of that pet rescue, is that anyone we would know?
No, that is an image that our art director found in his databases.
I gotcha. Okay. All right. And then what I loved also looking through this month's edition here is the farmhouse. I love the pictures.
Yes. So that was such a cool find. We do these habitats features on a pretty regular basis where we ask people to let us into their dwellings, and so this month Chris McCoy, who handles most of our habitats, our homes features, he brought this one to us, and it's such a cool story because it's this home that's like on Walnut Grove. It's over 100 years old, but it started its life as a farmhouse back when there wasn't much happening in that part of Shelby County. I mean, back in 1919 when the home was built, I don't know that there would have been very much around it. And it looks like the current owners have really done a spectacular job. I have to admit, I'm fairly jealous of that kitchen. But I think that's really what these stories allow us to show is you might drive past a place every day for years and years and always sort of wonder, I wonder what it's like inside that place. Well, we try to answer that question for you because I think we all have that curiosity, and this place just looks so stunning and so inviting.
I agree, and I think back to that house that you guys showcased a few months ago in Binghamton that was just beautiful, and someone had taken over. That was gorgeous, and so I love it when you guys do it, and it was certainly nice to see. Again, this is the latest edition of the Memphis Magazine here. Beautiful cover, talking about local adventures, pet rescue, farmhouse, and much, much more. Anna, before we let you go, anything else you wanted to mention about this month's edition?
Just a quick little shout out to the small story that's on the last page of the magazine that's about Kong Wee Peng, who is the artist who designed this year's Memphis in May art poster, the official poster. And it is just absolutely beautiful. Kong Wee Peng lives and works in Memphis, but is actually from Malaysia, which is being saluted this year. So it's a really nice story about her and about the poster. And I have to say, it's just really, really stunning. I'll put it up here. So I thought that was a nice thing to spotlight, and that's how we close the magazine as we open the month. And we've got Music Fest this weekend, so I know everyone's excited to see how that goes.
Well, if you're at Music Fest and you see someone canoeing the Mississippi River, it might be Anna Traverse Vogel. She's sold on it. So seriously, appreciate you as always, Anna. I love it. I'm really looking forward to getting my edition in the mail. And thanks so very much for joining us. Print is not dead, emphatically. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Appreciate you.
Here's a life hack. While you're physically at work, you can be mentally somewhere else entirely. So grab a refreshing summer edition Red Bull slush and imagine you're at the pool, or literally anywhere else but at work. Sonic Red Bull Summer Edition slush. Sonic.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose the Summer Splash Pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
Imagine a place where a cool summer breeze blows and burgers have that smoky char-grilled flavor. And also the breeze is your car's air conditioner because you're eating at Sonic. New Sonic Griller.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose the Summer Splash Pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
AM Action News 5 meteorologist Spencer Denton. As we go through the day and the rest of this week, we're looking for pretty warm conditions, although it's going to be mostly dry. There could be a passing downpour parts of northeast Mississippi later this afternoon. There's an area of low pressure hanging out down toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what's going to keep bringing in or pulling in a little bit of moisture today and tomorrow. But again, most areas stay on the dry side. This is not going to be a big rain chance at all. And then no sign of any major cold front, any area of low pressure, really any sign of extreme heat either. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Look at those temperatures, low to mid 80s. Again, if we see a passing downpour, it would be along Highway 72, maybe up toward Pickwick Lake, the Tennessee River area, back toward maybe Bolivar or Selmer, Tennessee. But most areas will stay dry for the rest of us. And then as we go into tomorrow, pretty dry to start off the day on your Tuesday. And then I think anyone could see a passing shower or storm in the afternoon or evening hours. So this would be 3 to about 6 or 8 p.m. We could see 1 or 2 of those in any spot. So tomorrow's probably the highest rain chance, although it's still pretty low. The rest of the week into Memorial Day weekend is looking high and dry. Here's a look at the forecast for today. 83 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10. Keep that 20% chance in, mainly for northeast Mississippi. Highs around 82 in Ripley, Tennessee today, 82 in Dyersburg, 83 in Somerville, 83 in Bolivar. Down to the south, a little bit warmer. Tunica, Marks, maybe Clarksdale in the mid 80s. And then as we go into eastern Arkansas, I think around 82 and Wynne, 83 in Forest City and in Mariana as well. Check out the 7-day temperature trend because I wanted to show you this. Mid 80s come back as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Then a weak front comes through. That's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, and it stays relatively pleasant as far as humidity levels are concerned for most of the week. Then by the weekend, we start to heat up, and by early next week, we could be hitting 90 degrees in some areas of the Mid-South. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week on the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. But again, as we head into the weekend, and a lot of folks have big plans, maybe big lake plans, hanging out at friend's house. It is going to be warm, but nothing too extreme, not too humid out there, and very comfortable at night. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, some areas in the upper 50s. Our biggest chance for a shot of a shower or storm, again, comes tomorrow afternoon. It's only a 1 in 3 chance for most areas. We'll keep you advised throughout the week.
No one deserves to live like this. When it's time for a plumber, you deserve the best. Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
All right, Andrew Douglas back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. We know that temperatures are going to be heating up once again here in Memphis and the Mid-South. Summer, it's just a few weeks away. It starts next month. And, you know, when we're dealing with summer, we like to be outside. We like to do fun activities. Well, here's the thing, though. We're going to be out in the sun, and all that extra time out in the sun, that can lead to some problems like skin cancer, melanoma. So right now, we are joined by Dr. Martin Fleming. He is the Division Chief for Surgical Oncology at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center to talk about the best ways to protect our skin. Dr. Fleming, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us. How dangerous are the sun's rays?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Well, as you said, we all like to get outside and have fun, and this is the time of year to do it as we gear up our spring and summer. But the sun can cause significant damage to your skin over time. And some of the problems it causes, some minor skin cancers are really more nuisances than life-threatening issues, but others like melanoma can truly be life-threatening. And 10 to 12,000 people a year in the United States die of melanoma. So it's not an insignificant problem, and it's something to really be mindful of.
Yeah, I remember talking with a dermatologist a number of years ago and an oncologist, and they told me the exact same thing. People don't realize how deadly melanoma can be. Let's talk a little bit about how skin cancer can affect the body overall.
Sure. The skin is, we say, the largest organ of your body. It really is when you think of the surface area of the total body. And as styles have changed and activities have changed, styles being clothing styles have changed, the skin is more and more exposed to the sun than it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And then in this part of the country, in the Mid-South, there's a very large population of historically Scotch-Irish people with very fair complexions that migrated to the United States, immigrated to the United States, and migrated into the Deep South in the 1800s and became farmers. So we have a big population of people with skin that wasn't intended to be exposed to this kind of sun, who are over years getting a cumulative exposure that can cause some significant damage.
I know that there are certain types of skin cancer that are, I guess, more deadlier than others. Can you go through the basic types of skin cancer and who is most at risk?
Sure. Starting with the different types, the most common type of skin cancer that we encounter is basal cell carcinoma. Basal cell carcinoma is very frequent. Every dermatologist in the country takes care of them on a regular basis. They are often in older folks that have had a lot of sun exposure over time, and often on the face and forehead and scalp of people with a lot of sun exposure. They don't spread, with rare exceptions. They're a local nuisance that needs to be dealt with. They are cancers and they need to be removed. And if left untreated, they can become massive in size and a huge problem. But at their initial stages, they're very small and just need to be removed. The next is squamous cell carcinoma. It is also not very aggressive, usually also a small office procedure, but there's a small, about 10% subset of those that actually can be very aggressive and spread to lymph nodes and cause life-threatening problems. But in general, basal cells and squamous cells are less concerning. Then less common, but much more aggressive, are something called Merkel cell carcinoma, which is very rare, but we see plenty of it because of sun exposure, and then melanoma, which is actually much more frequent than people might realize. Melanoma is, if found very, very early, is very curable, very treatable, and a procedure that's larger than an office procedure usually, but certainly an outpatient surgery that can take care of the situation permanently. If not treated, though, and progressing over time, it can spread rapidly and wildly throughout the body and become a life-threatening problem. So the people most at risk for all these types of skin cancers are the people with the most sun exposure over a long period of time. It's not a sunburn that you got 2 weeks ago or even last summer. It's sun exposure from a very early age. I grew up here in Memphis, and we didn't even know what sunscreen was when I was a kid. And sunscreen for me was a t-shirt. If you got too much sun, you just put on a t-shirt. But that kind of exposure over time, especially people with fair complexions, classically people with blue eyes or green eyes, red or auburn hair, blonde hair, and more than one significant sunburn as a child. I see patients and they usually can tell me a story of some time when they had a sunburn that was bad enough that they were truly sick. They were in bed with blisters and feeling bad for several days. That type of sunburn is at an early age really sets people up for problems in the future. And so it really becomes a situation where vigilance and surveillance is the way to take care of it. We can't prevent them from happening from something that, sun exposure 30 years ago, but we know that if we find them early and we take care of them, they're definitely curable and treatable.
What about the symptoms? I've always heard that if you have a mole that's kind of growing, to maybe get it checked out by a dermatologist. Give me some ideas, some symptoms for folks.
Yeah. The things we see that melanoma can start from nothing, or it can be a mole or a freckle that starts to change over time. So some guidelines we tell people that are pretty easy to remember, and it's a rubric on purpose. The letter A stands for asymmetry. So if you have something that's not round or oval, but kind of a strange shape, sometimes going out in more than one dimension in a weird way. B is for border irregularity, meaning the edge of the pigmented lesion doesn't stop cleanly. It kind of feathers out and disappears into the normal looking skin. C is for color variation. If you have a lesion that has brown and black and sometimes even blue and red kind of mixed in it, that's a hint that something's going on. And then D is for diameter. And we usually use about a 5 millimeter diameter to start being concerned. 5 millimeters, I tell people, is about the size of a pencil eraser. So if you use that as kind of a size judgment. And then E is the one that's a little more nebulous, but I think it's helpful, is evolution, meaning it's changing over time. So no one thing that I've mentioned is a cause for concern necessarily. A lot of moles and freckles change over time. As children grow up, they sometimes get bigger. As we get older, we get new, pigmented areas and age spots, as we call them, and freckles from the sun. Those are okay. But if you start to see a lesion that's doing those things I described and looks that way, it's certainly important to just get it biopsied or get it removed. That takes 5 minutes in the office, and then the problem is either evaluated so we know what we're dealing with, or gone so you don't have to worry about it anymore. So A, B, C, D, E is a great way to remember.
I got you. Okay, so now let's talk about ways to protect our skin this summer. I guess it starts with sunscreen SPF 30, right?
Well, yes, we can start there. I personally wear SPF 100. I really do. I don't want or need any more sun. And so when I get outside, I put on SPF 100. I actually do some volunteer surgery work in other parts of the world, and I'm sometimes at the equator, and I don't have the skin for equator sun. And so I wear SPF 100, and I come home with virtually no sun exposure at all. So it works. So sunscreen is really important. The other things you can do that are tangible that don't involve sunscreen is just being conscious of the sun. If you're at the beach, don't go out between noon and 3 or 10 and 2, we sometimes say. Use those hottest parts of the days to do something indoors. If you are at the beach, under the umbrella is great. You can still be out there. You can be part of it. There are some clothing, so you even have SPF built into them to protect you from the sun. Hats especially are great. And I tell people, get hats with a brim on them. Otherwise, the back of your neck and the top of your ears are still going to get a lot of sun. So those are the kind of things that are just kind of common sense, easy things to do that allow you to be out, enjoy the outdoors, enjoy the sunshine, and not put yourself at risk. I'm a big advocate, especially when people have had a melanoma, they feel like they have to live in a cave. And I say, no, you don't. Go do the things you enjoy and live your life, but just be conscious of what the risks are and what sun exposure means, and make those interventions as you can.
We've talked about a lot, Dr. Fleming, with regards to protection, the problems, perhaps some solutions. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go? It's been very interesting and I know helpful to our viewers. Thousands, by the way, join us here on the Digital Desk.
Well, I'm happy to be here and happy to answer questions. And I would just say, if you have a concern, go see somebody. Don't feel like it's too small or too insignificant to have a lesion, a mole, or freckle evaluated. If you see something changing, go see somebody. If you have any concerns, go see your doctor. That's what we're here for. And if it's nothing to worry about, then you can go home, comfortable that you've had it evaluated. Regular surveillance is very important. And if you're somebody that has had a sun exposure, even if you've never had skin cancer, but you know in your life growing up you had significant sun exposure, I would say, get a good dermatologist and go once a year, just once a year, to let them look you over. if things evolve so that you have a skin cancer problem, then they're going to want to see you more frequently. But just for surveillance, with everything being okay, once a year trip is just like a checkup to your regular doctor. And it really is helpful, and because intervention is all about, surveillance and finding things early.
Okay, Dr. Martin Fleming, the surgical oncologist, division chief at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center. We really appreciate you. I know you also work at Regional One Health. Thanks very much for taking a few minutes and talking with us this morning. Appreciate it.
Sure, happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
All right, late spring and, of course, early summer, we're going to be seeing temperatures creep up, up, and up. Today is supposed to be in the 80s. It's going to be warmer than that throughout the week. And as we approach June, July, August, look out, it's going to be hot. So we want to make sure that our system is completely up to date. We want to make sure that the AC is ready to go before the big summer demand. So let's bring in Michael Williford. He's the HVAC service manager for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Mike, tell us, what is the first thing that people need to know when they go into the summer months with regards to HVAC? Good morning.
Well, good morning. Thank you for having me. The first thing I would say is always make sure that you're checking your air filter once a month. A lot of these air filters will say last up to 90 days. Keep in mind that's up to 90 days. So you want to check it every month. You don't just want to put it in there and forget about it.
Okay, good stuff. So you have to be very concerned about that air filter. I hear that all the time. Should we be changing it twice a year, once a quarter? What do you think?
The maximum is going to be 90 days. Most people are going to average between 1 to 2 months, but that's why it's important you check it every 30 days. When you get your electric bill, let that be your reminder.
Gotcha. And do you guys recommend a certain type of filter? I see different ones. I see of course, I look at it, most expensive ones, and then the LG Pose.
Yeah, there are varying different types, and it all depends on your lifestyle. What I used to tell people when I was in the field is something that's sort of in the middle, not the most expensive, but not the most cheapest, is the safe option. When you have someone to come out for your maintenance, consult with them and ask them what they think.
Good advice there. Okay, so what else? What else do we need to know? I know that when it comes to my family, what we try to do is always stay in touch with our HVAC person and make sure we get inspections twice a year. Is that pretty much standard?
Yes, that's pretty much standard. And the earlier you can do it, the better.
Okay, and you recommend what? Once late spring and then late fall or early fall? What do you?
Typically early spring and for the cooling, and early fall for the winter. Yes.
Gotcha. So let's talk about some of the biggest problems that people have with HVAC as we head into the summer months.
Okay. Well, there's a number of things. There's some electrical components that fail. We see sadly more refrigerant leaks now than ever, so people are low on refrigerant. Those are the two main things that we see out in the field. So
let's say someone has a problem out there and they need, and they're not sure if they need a professional or not. What's a good rule of thumb if you need a professional versus you just kind of trying to solve it yourself?
Well, good rule of thumb I would give is if it's not working, do a look and see. Is the outside running like it normally is supposed to? Do you have air blowing through your vents like you normally would? I always tell people to shut it off until we get there. You're not going to do your system any good by trying to let it run until we get there. You can only cause more harm.
So one of the big questions people have is, all right, Michael, how do I bring down my bill? The bill's sky high. We got inflation killing us all, at the grocery store and everything. How do I bring down my HVAC bill? Tell me.
Well, regular maintenance for starters. The Department of Energy says that just paying that just having the maintenance done every year really pays for itself. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is in the hot parts of the day, close all drapes, blinds, keep any of that sunlight out. Those are the two main things.
Where do you stand on where to keep your temperature during the day? Do you? I know MLGW and some others have something where they send out like 78 degrees during the day or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is what they say for the most energy conservation. Now, in reality, some people don't want it that high. What I tell people is if you turn it up while you say you're gone for work, let's say you normally like it 72 in your house. You don't want to turn it up to 80 while you're gone from work, because then when you get home, it just takes all that time to catch up. So typically I would say that if you're going to turn it up while you're, say, gone for work, just do about 2-3 degrees maximum.
At what point should someone really consider replacing their unit? Each unit it seems to be more efficient than the last, and your bill goes down with that better efficiency type unit. At what point do you need to say, okay, maybe I should spend the money, get a new unit that's much more efficient, my bills will go down in the long term?
Yes, good rule of thumb, anytime you have a repair that's over $1,000 and your equipment is also over $1,000, that's when you want to consult with your professional. Get all your options, get your repair options, but at that point you would want to start at least considering replacement.
Michael, we've touched on a lot here. Is there anything else you want to mention? A lot of people like to go to YouTube and maybe try and solve, some of the troubleshooting themselves. Anything else you want to mention with regards to maybe do it yourself, calling an expert, HVAC, efficiency, anything else?
Safety is key when you're doing that. That would be the number one thing I would say. If you're going to try to investigate it yourself, just be sure you're being 100% safe.
All right, Michael Williford, HVAC Service Manager with Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Appreciate your time. Have a safe and happy late spring and summer. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You too.
Cutting out cable doesn't mean you have to cut out local news. Action News 5 makes it easy to keep up with what's happening in the 901 through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can watch breaking news and weather from anywhere we go live, like and comment on the stories that matter to you, and share your ideas directly with us. So tap in using your phone, tablet, or computer, making it easy to stay in the know in the 901. We're taking action for you. WMC Action News 5. Find us wherever you scroll.
Hi, I'm Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Memphis Grizzlies, and I am officially vaccinated. I cannot wait to get back to spending time with my family and friends. I think people should do their research and make sure they get informed on the vaccine, and I definitely did that. I definitely looked up side effects, everything that I could find out, and I felt like it was still in my best interest to get the vaccine as well for anybody, really. So I'm encouraging everybody to do that.
All right, let me ask you a question. When do you like to exercise? What about going to the doctor's office? When do you go? Do you go in the morning? Do you go in the afternoon? Does it even make a difference to you on when you make important decisions? Well, there's researchers out there that say timing is everything when it comes to your life. Everything from exercising to doctor's appointments, making important decisions. In fact, scientists have studied it, and now they know the best time of day to get things done. It's the subject of our Best Life Report. Check it out.
When's your favorite time to exercise? When do you do your best work? It seems there's a science to good timing.
In the morning, when you first get up.
Yeah, 6 o'clock to about 10, between that time.
For me, the best time to work out is in the evenings.
Scientists have tracked how cognitive abilities rise and fall and found that most of our brains follow a neatly predictable pattern. They found learning is most effective between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Science also says we make the worst decisions late at night and first thing in the morning. Between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. is the best time to make important decisions quickly and accurately. In fact, one study found 2:55 p.m. is very likely the most unproductive moment of the day. Studies show you're likely to build more muscle with a daybreak workout than an evening routine. So, when should you eat? The science says to eat only when the sun is out. A study in Boston showed 26% increase in depression and a 16% increase in anxiety of those who consumed large meals before sunrise and after sundown.
Well, we know trains are an essential part of our economy, moving things we need and want all across the entire country. It's a system not without risk, though. Usually it's a train's speed or the load it's carrying that creates some danger. But as national investigative reporter Josie Sturman discovered, trains can cause injuries, deaths, and delay emergency responses simply by sitting still.
It's the kind of moment that takes your breath away. A little girl in a bright red coat, tiny arms and legs wiggling underneath a train car that could move at any moment. This is a situation that would usually send people running. But in Hammond, Indiana, it's quiet as she dusts herself off, casually picks up her book bag and a dropped water bottle, and carries on.
Her book bag could have got caught, her jacket could have got caught.
Moments like this still shock Akeisha Henderson, who moved here nearly 3 years ago.
Nothing's gonna move any second now.
A few months ago, she started recording them, posting on social media, showing the world what normal looks like in a city where trains may block the street for hours at a time.
It's too far down.
Leaving kids with no choice but to take their chances, tangling with the steel beast that often stands in their way to school.
I know they're used to it. I can tell, because it's like they didn't hesitate to do it.
Industry experts say trains generally stop like this because their crew have reached the maximum hours they can work, or because of rail switching practices which impact when and where trains can move.
It's heartbreaking, terrifying.
Our national investigative team and our partner ProPublica repeatedly saw why, watching everything from a student lifting his bike over stalled train cars to crowds of kids waiting to see if a train would move before jumping over one by one to make the morning bell.
I think it's outrageous.
We took the video to members of Congress.
It's shocking.
And Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
It's exactly why we believe that there needs to be and can be more done.
Our national investigative team combed through data from the Federal Railroad Administration, which has been collecting blocked crossing complaints from the public since 2019. Last year alone, that data shows more than 30,000 reports of blocked crossings across the nation, with Texas, Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, and Tennessee in the top 5 for complaints. But the FRA has no legal authority to regulate the problem.
It's always frustrating when you see behavior by a company and you're a regulator and you can't just grab them by the collar and say, stop it.
Secretary Buttigieg believes this is the moment for Congress to act and give the FRA, which falls under his umbrella, more authority. But he's not waiting for solutions. He's funding them, putting $3 billion toward projects nationwide that make crossings safer or get rid of them altogether.
If we can target those resources to where there is the most inconvenience or the most danger, then that's going to be a big win for the communities that are impacted.
The Association of American Railroads, an industry lobbying group, says safety will always be their top priority, with their members committed to being responsible community partners using a variety of strategies to minimize blocked crossings. As for Norfolk Southern, whose train we saw blocking crossings for at least 4 hours in Hammond, the company originally agreed to an interview with Investigate TV and ProPublica, but canceled abruptly, citing a family emergency. After we posted our story online, Hammond's mayor says he got a call from Norfolk Southern's CEO saying he wants to fix the situation. We're told they're now working together on a solution to protect kids whose walk to school is often blocked by stopped trains, with details coming soon.
All right, it's graduation season. Have you been to a graduation recently? That pomp and circumstance song, that always gets me every time. I had a nephew graduate from college. I had my son graduate from high school. It's so much fun. And then the reality kicks in. What are they going to do? You know, especially those college graduates. What are they going to do in the real world? How are they going to manage certain things? It's going to be one of those sink or swim type situations, especially when it comes to money sense and financial planning. Let's bring in Tammy Trenta. She is the founder and CEO of Family Financial. We've had her on the digital desk before. Tammy, it's good to see you. Let's talk about what college grads need to do first and foremost. And I have a feeling it revolves around having a budget, right?
Absolutely. So this is such an exciting time. It's a time where you're truly on your own and you are getting your first job. And it can be a little bit tricky, but I think today's college graduates have a lot more opportunity than maybe I did, way back when I graduated college. And I wish I knew these things back then, but I would say the first thing to do is get your job and also be aware of the cost of living where you are moving to, if you are in fact moving. Now, I think Tennessee is a great state because there isn't any state income tax. But if you move to California, you might be hit with a pretty hefty state tax. So when you're interviewing, consider the impact of where you will be living and the impact of any state income tax that might impact your take home. Once you have your salary, you should back into your budget. And I think that's tricky. Lots of graduates move to a city, get a place to live, and then find a job. And so you don't want to get yourself into a situation where you're barely able to get by. So if you know what your take-home pay is going to be, it's easier to back into your budget.
So true. And you see that so many times. They're not really sure, okay, well, they get their first payday and they're like, "Wow, man, this is great. Let's go. We're going out tonight." When in actuality, you gotta budget everything. I mean, the budget is so critical and important. I guess you just gotta figure out that cost of living calendar, like you said, or calculator, just to kind of understand what you're going to be paying for when it comes to utility bills, phone bills, rent, that sort of thing. Anything else when it comes to that budget?
Yes. So a great rule of thumb to use once you know what your take-home pay will be is the 50-30-20 rule. And 50-30-20 rule is that you want to allocate no more of your budget to your essential needs. So that could be housing, that could be transportation, that could be groceries. And then the 30% you want to allocate to your wants. So that could be entertainment, travel, clothing, and you don't want to exceed the 30%. And then lastly, but most importantly, you want to have 20% allocated to savings. And I call that the pay yourself fund. If your company that you begin working for offers a 401k, take advantage of that. That could be a great benefit, especially if the company is offering a matching contribution. There's a lot of new state or Secure Act rules that came out last year that make it very advantageous for you to start saving for yourself at a younger age. Last thing I'll say is you want to prioritize the savings first. So it's almost like you go to the gym. When you go to the gym in the beginning of the day, you don't get, your day doesn't get away from you and you don't end up not going to the gym because it's at the end of the day and you're tired. If you pay yourself first, then you don't have to worry about your needs and your wants eating up all your budget and leaving you no money for savings.
Very interesting point, and I love the 50-30-20 rule. That's a good rule to always have. Let's talk about paying off debts, because I know that a lot of graduates will have some debts that they've accrued, not only student loan debt, but also credit card debt.
Yes. I know when I graduated from college, I had some credit card debt, and that's really the first thing that you want to tackle. You should make a list and prioritize what you're paying off by the interest rate that you're paying. So oftentimes credit cards have high interest rates. Now they're in the 20s and 30s. So those are the things you want to start paying off first. Student loans, sometimes there's a forbearance period. There's, other than forgiveness, it's just something that you'll have to budget for and pay over time. So prioritizing based on interest rate is really important. And if you're living within your budget, you shouldn't get into credit card debt. So, you've got a clean slate, you've got income coming in, pay your bills at the end of the month, make sure that you don't let the credit cards get away from you.
That's a tough one because with inflation the way it is, and you see it, I mean, you're in finances. I mean, inflation is still very high, and these college graduates are coming out. They're trying to, make a start on their own and in the real world, air quotes there. And so, here they are. They're trying to live within a budget, but people are getting married and they're going in weddings and they're becoming best man and maid of honor, that sort of thing. So I would think that'd be pretty difficult to do, especially when it comes to also building an emergency fund, because that in theory is a great idea, but how do we make that really come to fruition?
Well, you mentioned two things. One is the weddings and the travel and all of those expenses that can definitely add up. And that can be the 30% that you allocate to your wants. So if you end up exceeding that 30%, you've got to figure out ways to maybe pare that back, or maybe you don't attend a wedding or you have to forego something else. But forgoing the savings is really tough. When you're first starting out, I think one of the risks is that, oftentimes you're working for someone else, and, in a time where we're teetering on a recession, you don't know. You might be the first one to be let go. And if you've already gotten your apartment and got yourself established, it's a little risky. So you want to have 3 to 6 months of emergency fund, and perhaps that 20% you start to accumulate. You can, once you hit that 3 months or 6 months, whatever works for you, you can start. And once you pay off your credit card debt, you start moving on to getting long-term investments. So, it's all a process. So high interest debt, then emergency savings, then start looking at your 401k and other ways to invest.
The other point here, Tammy, is such a good one. Establishing good credit. I mean, oh my gosh, that affects so much of our lives these days. What's the best way college graduates can establish good credit?
So a great way to establish credit is to use your credit cards, but pay them off. When you're applying for a car loan or even a home, they will pull your credit score and they'll look at your credit history. And it really depends when you start to establish credit. So if you get your first credit card when you're 18, now you're having to be responsible for yourself. So your credit rating will by default be lower because you are younger and you are establishing credit. Sometimes parents will give their child a credit card so they can start building credit in their own name. But being responsible, paying it off. If you are in the direst of situations, just don't keep more than 25% of a balance against your credit line. That's what the creditors are really looking for, your ability to pay your bills on time and manage your credit.
Okay, and you mentioned this briefly off the top, is about investing in the future, or as you said, investing in yourself. I have a financial planner, but I didn't when I was in college. I guess it's just one of those things where usually most companies have some sort of 401k or retirement plan, and college graduates should start that right away. I mean, everything I've seen says if you start in your 20s, you'll be exponentially better off by the time you're, in your 60s.
I mean, you could technically be a millionaire by the time you're 40 if you start diligently saving that 20% when you're in your 20s. Now, no one told me that. I had to learn it over time, but I can't tell you how many 40-year-olds who have not prioritized savings come to me and really regret not getting off on the right foot when they're young. So if your company offers you that 401k, I know when I sat down, I'm like, what? I can't touch that until I'm 59 and a half? I want to enjoy my life. This doesn't seem like a good idea at all. Trust me, put some in as much as you're able to, because that, think of it like that money that you're saving are like little mini employees, and those little mini employees need to earn money for you so that someday that money grows and compounds, and it's going to be able to pay you to live a lifestyle without being forced to work. Another thing I'll say that is different is we're in a time of the side hustle. And so you may have a day job and there's something that you could be doing on the side if you feel like the cost of living where you are is a little bit in excess of what you're bringing in. So there are opportunities while you're young, while you have the energy to just kind of knock it out of the park, before it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, side hustles are very popular these days. Final thing before we let you go, what's your best advice to combat this raging inflation? I mean, should we just, invest more money?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we all see it everywhere. And when you're just starting off, one thing that I don't know that people consider is we have had tremendous amount of wage growth over the last few years. And so that wage growth is the reason for inflation going up. So on a relative basis, it may seem like people who are on a fixed salary that have experienced inflation definitely feel the pinch. But starting salaries overall should be higher than they were a few years ago to combat inflation. If you're lucky enough, I mean, I know a lot of tech companies have moved out of the more expensive cities, but there's also an opportunity to have remote jobs. So if you can get a California job and live in Tennessee, you might be able to take advantage of that cost of living. So, not all cities pay the same amount. So if you can use that, I like to call it income arbitrage, but working in a lower cost of living city where you have an opportunity to get a job that pays you more because of the city that they're in.
Tammy, it's always been good to talk to you on these things. Where can people go to get some more information on this, perhaps online?
Sure. Well, I'm on LinkedIn, and familyfinancial.biz is our company's website. We're a financial planning firm, and we do articles regularly on these types of things.
Okay, Tammy Trenta, appreciated founder and CEO of Family Financial. Thanks again so much for taking the time. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Andrew.
With confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
Hey, did you hear the news? If not, catch up now with Action News 5's official YouTube channel. You can like, comment, and share the stories that matter to you. Meet the Action News 5 team and get a blast from the past in the Action News 5 vault. Top stories and special reports you may have missed or just want to watch again are added daily, so you can stay in the know with the 901. Visit youtube.com/actionnews5 and never miss out on the exciting things happening around you.
I'm Bobby Jones of Delta Medicare Benefits Group, the Mid-South's #1 trusted source for all things Medicare. At Delta Medicare Benefits Group, you work with local Mid-Southerners. There's no 800 number, no machines to talk to, just local Medicare experts. Together, we'll come up with the best Medicare plan that fits your individual needs. Call today for your free Medicare consultation at 460-7220 or stop by our office at 5050 Poplar Avenue.
Bank with confidence at First South Financial, one of the top 1% of financial institutions in the U.S. for strength and stability. Visit firstsouth.com today.
First South Financial, banking with friends since 1957.
AM Action News 5 meteorologist Spencer Denton. As we go through the day and the rest of this week, we're looking for pretty warm conditions, although it's going to be mostly dry. There could be a passing downpour parts of northeast Mississippi later this afternoon. There's an area of low pressure hanging out down toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's what's going to keep bringing in or pulling in a little bit of moisture today and tomorrow. But again, most areas stay on the dry side. This is not going to be a big rain chance at all. And then no sign of any major cold front, any area of low pressure, really any sign of extreme heat either. Let's take a look at Futurecast as we go through the rest of this afternoon. Look at those temperatures, low to mid 80s. Again, if we see a passing downpour, it would be along Highway 72, maybe up toward Pickwick Lake, the Tennessee River area, back toward maybe Bolivar or Selmer, Tennessee. But most areas will stay dry for the rest of us. And then as we go into tomorrow, pretty dry to start off the day on your Tuesday. And then I think anyone could see a passing shower or storm in the afternoon or evening hours. So this would be 3 to about 6 or 8 p.m. We could see one or two of those in any spot. So tomorrow's probably the highest rain chance, although it's still pretty low. The rest of the week into Memorial Day weekend is looking high and dry. Here's a look at the forecast for today. 83 degrees, northeast wind 5 to 10. Keep that 20% chance in, mainly for northeast Mississippi. Highs around 82 in Ripley, Tennessee today, 82 in Dyersburg, 83 in Somerville, 83 in Bolivar. Down to the south, a little bit warmer. Tunica, Marks, maybe Clarksdale in the mid 80s. And then as we go into eastern Arkansas, I think around 82 and Wynne, 83 in Forest City and in Mariana as well. Check out the 7-day temperature trend because I wanted to show you this. Mid 80s come back as we go into Wednesday and Thursday. Then a weak front comes through. That's going to drop the temperature just a little bit, and it stays relatively pleasant as far as humidity levels are concerned for most of the week. Then by the weekend, we start to heat up, and by early next week, we could be hitting 90 degrees in some areas of the Mid-South. So we'll keep you posted throughout the week on the Action News 5 First Alert weather app. But again, as we head into the weekend, and a lot of folks have big plans, maybe big lake plans, hanging out at friend's house. It is going to be warm, but nothing too extreme, not too humid out there, and very comfortable at night. Temperatures will be in the low 60s, some areas in the upper 50s. Our biggest chance for a shot of a shower or storm, again, comes tomorrow afternoon. It's only a 1 in 3 chance for most areas. We'll keep you advised throughout the week.
Hey, I'm Brian Reed with Best Care Plumbing, Heating, and Air. And in the dog days of summer, a dirty air conditioner can leave you in the doghouse. Good news, it's tune-up time at Best Care. For $69, we'll keep you out of trouble. Let us wash away the dirt and grime of winter from your air conditioner as part of our 24-point inspection for only $69. And we'll also include a leak check at no charge. Call us today and ask about our early bird special, and we'll perform your tune-up for only $57. And when it comes to your comfort, you deserve the best.
Best Care Home. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. Are you someone who listens to a lot of podcasts? I certainly do, and I'm always looking for new podcasts, ones that are interesting to me, that are maybe relevant in my life. Well, I have got a great podcast for you to listen to. It is called Just Bluffing, and it is all about Memphis. Yes, and I am joined on the digital desk by the two lovely ladies behind this podcast. Shannon Briggs, Cecil Fay joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Ladies, good morning to you. I appreciate you joining us. Tell me about Just Bluffing. Shannon, let's start with you.
Sure. Thanks for having us this morning. Just Bluffin' is a podcast that you're right. It's all about Memphis. We work with Campfire Collective, and our goal and mission is to uplift those in Memphis who are doing the hard work to make Memphis better every day. So this podcast is just another outlet to do that. We are interviewing community change makers and leaders and those who are just getting in and doing the work in Memphis.
Awesome. Okay, so Cecilia, tell me about what the first couple of podcasts. What I understand is you guys have had 2 episodes recently. Tell me how it's been.
Yes, so it's honestly been a lot of fun. It's been a whirlwind getting it together. I basically came to Shannon a couple months ago and was like, hey, we should do a podcast. And we've been working on it and reaching out to guests. And the first 2 guests were George Abbott and then Lee Mansberg, and they've both been a lot of fun. And we look forward to having more people like them on.
Okay, so George Abbott, that's Memphis River Parks Partnership,
Yes.
talking about Memphis in May and Tom Lee Park and the redevelopment of that. Tell me about the episode 2 and what's on tap for episode 3, Cecilia.
Episode 3 will be without Memphis for Pride Month, and we'll be chatting with them about some of the things they're doing in regards to the new legislation in Tennessee and how they're celebrating Pride Month this year.
Gotcha. And Shannon, over to you. Tell me about this podcast. Is it just about events that are happening? Is it just about things that are issues that are people are looking forward to? Give me the whole ball of wax here. What is the podcast covering? Is it covering politics? Tell me.
No, it's all at the core of community. So we're interviewing people who to learn more about them, their career journey, and really the organizations that they're working with. So George Abbott told us all about Memphis River Parks, the work he does there, the redevelopment of Tom Lee Park and his journey through that, and how it all kind of ties in with Memphis in May this year. Lee Mansberg with Junior Achievement, that episode came out right as JA Inspire happened last week. So she gave us a deep dive into all the work that Junior Achievement does in Memphis and what JA Inspire is and what it means to our city. And Out Memphis, they talked to us about the legislation, so a little bit of politics, yes, but more about the work that they do in our community. And then after that, we have MLK 50 coming with to talk about social justice and their work in the reporting space, and that's going to tie into Juneteenth as well. So really, it's more about storytelling, the work that people are doing in the community. Yes, they can talk about events, but we want to know about the organizations, what they're doing, and then really getting people plugged in and learning about how they can help as well.
So how has been the response so far? You've had 2 episodes and you're about to have a 3rd and a 4th. Tell me about reaction, Shannon.
It's been great. We've had a lot of great response. People love the different stories. They love listening to it, from what I can tell. But really for us, it's a little bit selfish too. We've just had a great time having an excuse to talk to all of these people and learn more. I mean, personally, it's what I love doing anyway. It's my favorite part of my job is talking to people and learning about them. So this is just another avenue where I get to do that. Sure.
Yeah, I mean it's such a new medium, and it's where people are going when it comes to maybe taking a ride in the car, stuck in traffic. They put on a podcast and they can kind of get through the day, perhaps a workout, what have you. Cecilia, anything when it comes to what you'd like to see maybe 6-12 months down the road?
Oh, goodness. Probably a lot of things. My ultimate goal is to interview Brene Brown, but that's probably not going to happen. She's too famous. But yeah, I would love to just expand our guest list and expand who we're talking to even local business owners and people that might not necessarily have a large stage. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and I think the possibilities are endless at this point.
So where can people find you guys? And tell me anything else you'd like to mention before we let you go.
So you can find the podcast on Spotify and Podbean, and honestly anywhere that podcasts are. And then you can follow us on Build a Campfire on Instagram and all the social media apps. Shannon, is there anything I missed?
Yeah, buildacampfire.com is where you can learn about our episodes, all the upcoming ones as well, and Build a Campfire for on social media. And that just about covers it. We have a lot of fun episodes coming up. We've banked a lot too, so we have some more exciting ones in store, and we're booking out episodes for the rest of this year now. We're excited for what's to come. You'll need to follow us to stay tuned on what we have ahead.
Let me ask you this: is it once a week, and is it an hour long? How long are they?
Sure, it's every other week, and they are roughly 45 minutes to an hour. We actually have to edit them down. Like I said, I love having these conversations, and we come with a set of questions that we want to ask these guests. But when it comes to it, I just start asking questions as we get into the conversations even more, because I'm so fascinated by what these people are saying. So we pare it down to about 45 minutes and give y'all the best of the conversations from there. But every other Tuesday is when we will be releasing these.
Okay, great. Shannon Briggs, Cecil Fay. By the way, I know what it means to just want to ask a million questions to people, and you got to edit it down, no question about it. Ladies, congratulations on the new podcast. Good luck to you, and looking forward to checking it out. Appreciate it.
People need options. You need the option to excel. The chance to get beyond where you are, to refresh your skills and leap into the future. You need the option to be local, the possibility of growth where your roots are, while taking care of you and your loved ones. You need the option of a helping hand, the occasion to talk to someone who can help you take yourself to the next level. Go far, close to home. Northwest Mississippi Community College.
Hi, folks, Bob Burke of the Sunrise Buick GMC truck. Thinking about buying a new or used car or truck? Remember, the selection's better and the savings are bigger at Sunrise. Over 600 new cars and trucks to choose from. Factory rebates up to $1,000 and interest rates low as 2.9. Bad credit? It's okay. At Sunrise, we've got a financing plan for everybody. SunriseMemphis.com. We're saving you money. It's just the way you're doing business. Covington, Pike, Wolf Chase, and Collierville. We make it fun to buy a car again. Check out the all-new Sunrise Truck Corral. Huge selection of nothing but trucks. All makes, all models, all prices, all trucks, all the time. Thanks to Sunrise.
Get ready to splash into summer at the YMCA. With 2 great options to join the Y, there's something for everyone. Choose the Summer Splash Pass and enjoy the outdoor pools and splash pads now through September. Or take 20% off regular monthly memberships and keep saving for life. And you get all the great benefits of the YMCA with family and individual membership options. Visit the website at ymcamemphis.org for full details and to join today.
That does it for us here in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Have yourself a wonderful Monday afternoon. We got Action News 5's midday coming up at the top of the hour. You got Spencer Denton and you got Ariana Poindexter to give you news and weather throughout the rest of the day. You can join us once again tomorrow morning. A new time we start the Digital Desk. 7 o'clock in the morning. We go to 11 each and every weekday morning. Take care. Have yourself a great one.